Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to MotoOption Supercross. From Oswego, New York, riding for Underground RC, number 39, Caleb Hall. From Marmora, New Jersey, riding for Heckman Productions SYS Racing, number 4, Jeremy Smith. From Tampa, Florida, riding for JIBR.co, 2021 MX Simulator National Champion, number 5, Tyler Lang. From Lillington, North Carolina, riding for TSCZ Productions, number 11, Luke Sullivan. From Watkins Glen, New York, riding for Phil's Ski and Snowboard, number 12, Braden Castellaneta. From Mattawan, Michigan, riding for Phil Ski and Snowboard, number 78, Jacob Hubbard. From Shawnigan Lake, Canada, riding for District Designs, number 24, Colby Eagland. From France, riding for Phil Ski and Snowboard, 2018 Supercross champion, number 7, Alexis Leclerc.
Rewind it.
Win the Anaheim opener in 2000. Braden Carter's going to win tonight in Anaheim. Through to win the Seattle Supercross.
2022 Supercross champion.
From Costa Mesa, California, riding for Phil Ski and Snowboard, your 2-time and defending Supercross champion, number 1, Braden Carter.
Someone like me, with the
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in. It's round 13 of the 2023 MotoOption AMA Esports Supercross Championship live here on Start Your Systems, Init Esports, and ESTV. So thanks for joining us here tonight from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Of course, Kellen Brower in the studio tonight with you guys. It's only me tonight. Andrew Wood, unfortunately, was not feeling able to come down this week and co-host the commentary booth with us. So he's not here, but we'll still carry you guys through all the night shows action here from Atlanta Motor Speedway. This is going to be a fun race because it is one of the most unique racetracks we have all season long. It is, of course, built on kind of the infield area at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And it's actually a much longer track than Daytona, even though you would think that Daytona would be longer, being a super speedway where Atlanta isn't. This track has a little bit more floor space to use, and because of that, it is a massive track. So we'll get into the track in just a second. Before we do that, of course, we want to take a look at our qualifying time. So we'll go ahead and pull those up on our screen right now and talk about what happened here in qualifying. And check out this for a little bit of a surprise. Tyler Lang, your 2021 national champion, fastest in 450 qualifying here tonight. So a bit of a mixed bag here tonight. Championship leader Braden Carter, 6th fastest. The man who won last week in Arizona is 9th fastest. That's Alexis Leclerc. We got Lang, Shirley, Tyron Tomic back in action, Braden Castellaneta, Matthias Janis, all right there in the mix. And I don't necessarily think it's a surprise to see Lang fastest qualifier on a super speedway type track like this, because he's an outdoor guy and he has won Daytona in the past. He never won Atlanta before, but he's been very good at this speedway as well. So that's kind of cool to see Lang put himself up at the front in 450 Supercross tonight. 250 East, though, and definitely no surprise here. I think the biggest surprise is the margin in which Rasmus Balzer has gone fastest in 250 East here tonight. 137.1 over Alec Horn on a 139 flat. Unbelievable difference of time right there. Almost 2 whole seconds for Balzer on the rest of the field. Colin Allen, Seth Carr, Noah Viney also there in the mix. Trying to look at where our championship leader Bryce Whelan is. Unless I missed him, I'm not seeing him up here in this front group. Are we without Whelan for another week? He's not put in a qualifying time just yet. And Bryce Whelan comes into this with a 22-point advantage in the championship. This might be the second round in a row that we do not see Whelan out there. So let's take a look at our standings if he's not there tonight. 22 points up on Chromie and Balzer both. So suddenly Balzer, who had missed a round earlier this year due to a suspension, is right kind of in the thick of this thing a little bit with a chance if Whelan is not here tonight. That would be unbelievable if suddenly Balzer and Chromie, Alec Horn, Talon Zollers, look at how close that battle is for the second place position in this 250 East standings at the moment. But if Whelan's not here, any one of these guys could walk out of here as the points leader here tonight. So that is incredible storylines developing just now that we have to definitely keep an eye on as we roll into the night show and see whether or not Whelan does make it into those heat races or not. As we go over to the 450 class, little different story, of course, with Payson Johnson being suspended for the rest of the season. We went over that last week. It's down to really more or less 2 guys. You could say Eaglin still has a pretty far outside shot here with 46 points to gain, but I think it's down to Carter versus Leclerc, and it's really down to whether or not Leclerc can continue to chip those points away like he did last week in Glendale. Got a couple more points back towards Carter in the championship fight. And now he has to try to do it again here in Atlanta. If he can take a bigger chunk of points back towards Carter here tonight, it's a huge step in those final 4 rounds after this towards Leclerc getting back into the realm where he could challenge Braden Carter for this championship. So we'll keep an eye on Carter versus Leclerc, and then we'll keep an eye on what apparently is about to be a wild 250 East night of racing, if that is the case with Whelan not being here. So since we have a little bit of extra time here at the beginning, I figured what I should do is actually show you guys what this track looks like so you guys get a better understanding of what we're going to be racing here tonight. Like I said, long track, longest track of the year. 1 minute 35 seconds was the top 450 time. I'm definitely not about to put that down, but you can see super long start straight into this left-hand sweeping first corner. As you go through this first corner, you're actually going to have a little bit of a roller into a step-on, step-off section before a little triple, and then right into the finish line jump actually to cross the line onto the second lap of the race right away. Little double section though from the finish line into a left-hand 90-degree corner over this tunnel jump. Down this tunnel jump, outside you could go triple in, inside you'd go double in, and I'm going to blow it, but you'd go double in, triple, and then quad actually over the table, so you'd land right here, and then maybe even triple all the way out into these rollers into the corner, all the way down to the far end of the grass section of the speedway here through a couple ruts down here, and you got a little double that takes you back towards the middle part of the track, but just for a quick moment, because you actually have this kind of switchback section right here. You go right, and then you go left, and I think a majority of the guys are going to go double out of this corner, double again, and then triple right here so that they can then double right there going under the tunnel, and then into the first of 2 back-to-back sand sections, a little right-hand sweeper right here, and then you're going to have this section carrying some momentum into the sand rollers right here. A couple different options you could do through the rollers right here, but you could also just kind of plow through them as well. Out to the far end of the other side of the speedway, you're going to have this little step-up double jump right here, and then a sweeper left-hander into another double. Not a lot of Supercross triples, just a lot of really big doubles on this track, which is a little bit unique. A little double-double section right there, and then you have, I think, maybe the lone rhythm section on this track, or actually the second rhythm section on this track. A couple different options right here. We might even see a cheeky quad right there, but it leads you into a wall jump, so 10 jumps into a wall jump. And then the first set of whoops, which are going to go back-to-back, leading you into the finish line. And I'm not going to be able to get through them, but I was going down anyway. So you can see from the overhead map right here, that whoop section then goes backwards down the start straight into a right-hand 180 bull corner, another set of whoops, and then a left-hander in that flat first corner. Actually has a little bit of a rut that they already pre-built for tonight's action before you head back down to the finish line and complete a lap here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. This is a very, very long track. This is a very, very high-speed track as well. And it's certainly going to provide maybe some of the most interesting racing we'll see all season long, and perhaps a couple different winners that we've never seen this season yet either. Tyler Lang has not won a 450 Supercross this year. He's a 2-time winner on the series before this, so he knows how to get it done. And of course, he's a reigning national champion in the past, so he knows what to do in terms of a race-winning scenario, regardless of which. So he definitely comes ready to play tonight with that fastest qualifier time in the 450 class. But before we race the 450 class, we of course start with the 250 class here tonight. So the 250 class will kick things off. They will go first, and it's going to be 250 heat number 1 coming up first. Top 9 riders transfer through to the main event. All other riders head to that last chance qualifiers. So this is where we're going to see whether or not Whelan made it in. Trying to keep tabs on where everyone is saying in chat here. Oh, Bryce is in heat 2, by the way. Last gate pick. So it sounds like Bryce Whelan does make it in to some semblance of the races here tonight. I'm not too sure why. He did not have a time set. Sometimes that literally just comes down to the user wasn't there for qualifying, so they didn't get a chance to set a time, but then they, got here in time for the race. Everyone's got a different schedule. Maybe Bryce had a work schedule that pushed him a little bit late here tonight, or maybe he got off school late or whatever, because nobody is playing this in the same location. There's a couple people that might be in the same building. Sometimes brothers will play in the same house or whatever, but this is all individual computers playing online in MX Simulator. This is not a LAN tournament, so therefore we don't know why Whelan wasn't here originally for qualifying, but it does sound like he has gotten in. So that's another story we'll have to keep an eye on when we get to Heat 2. Like I said, right now, Heat 1 is coming up first, and they're going to show you guys what this track looks like right off from the get-go. 6 minutes plus a lap, and the top 9 riders transfer through to the main event. So 6 minutes plus a lap. We're probably only going to get 5, maybe even 4 laps in, depends on how fast they get back around, I guess, to complete those first 3 laps of the race. And then if we get the white flag after 3 laps, it'd be quite something. But these races will definitely go by in a hurry. And here's a look of guys on the track here for 250 Heat 1. Carl Novak, Talon Zollers is here. He's looking to take the championship lead. Seth Carr, Race Cobble, Cody, Jackson Craig, Joey Arico, Carson West, Jace Williams, Sonny Spicer, Dominic Paolini, Zach Fisher, Evan Holt, Bronson McClure, Brandon Nygren, Jacob Kelly, Colin Allen, Rasmus Balzer, fastest qualifier right there, and Seth Crotty. So Balzer also rolling into Atlanta here tonight, looking super strong and ready to get things rolling along. Is the contrast really that bad? I didn't feel like it was overzealous. I'm trying to keep it so that you guys can see it blown out a little bit more. I like this overhead view is a little bit different because I took a screenshot and then fluffed it up, and then now the contrast from the in-game stuff makes it look super blown out, but I would assume that the actual in-game stuff doesn't look too bad. So if it does, let me know. But yeah, here we go, folks. Catch the fever. It is race time here at Atlanta Motor Speedway for round 13 of MotoOption AMA Esports Supercross in MX Simulator. Of course, we're going to see who gets that all-important hole shot to start off the night. Here we go, 250 Heat 1. Let's drop the gate in Atlanta. That long start straight, it's an absolute flurry into the first corner, and Arico, who got to the line first, actually got pushed wide, so Seth Carr is going to grab the hole shot here on the 13 Underground RC machine as he leads across the line on the first lap. Carson West also in the mix with Cody. I think that's Cody Cooper on the 381. Talon Zollers also has a good start. Balls are right off the back of these guys on that 35 machine. as everyone settles into these early positions and tries to figure out who's where and how they're managing. A lot of guys going outside trying to triple in and nobody really getting it clean, so that's going to actually allow Balzer to make a couple more passes. So Balzer actually side-by-side dualies first lap with Cody Cooper. Cooper to the inside, Balzer to the outside, and you get to see the difference in those swooping ruts through those corners right there. A lot of pre-made ruts here. Of course, there is an erode system, so the track will get a little bit more chopped up and dug out as the racing goes on. But just to start things off, since it is a speedway type of track, oh my gosh, what a save by Carson West. Got kicked sideways there on that Ice Spice 49 machine. And a nice job to crowd back together, keep Balzer behind him. And they are still chasing our race leader Seth Carr, who's got just over a second lead. These guys still close. Balzer already trying to go into second place. He's got it down the inside of Carson West and triples in beautifully right there as well. So let's see, is he going to quad right here? Yeah, look at this. So he goes for the big quad and then right into a wall jump. But they definitely lowered that last single to make sure nobody jumped over that wall jump here tonight. But I'd be curious to see if anybody still tries it. That's always a big line available if someone would like to try it. And Balzer has been so fast here tonight to start the evening in qualifying on the 250. Oh, and Seth Carr is going to go down out of the race lead. So Balzer takes over. Carson West goes by. There goes Cody Cooper. Brandon Nygren's going down in the whoops as well. Evan Holt on the 85 goes by as Seth Carr gets going now behind Arico and Talon Zollers. As Zollers goes in and out of the tough blocks, Joey Arico also went by. So Evan Holt moved up a position, and Arico, who apparently is riding for Holtzy Racing tonight, right behind his boss in the early runnings of this heat race. A little bit of a change up right there for Arico. So it looks like Cody Cooper and Balzer, Balzer had lost the lead, so Balzer took over the lead, and then I don't know if he had a mistake or a little slide out or something, but West and Cody Cooper both went by. So West is now in the race lead again. Oh, and just as I say that, front end tuck, down he goes. So Cooper goes by, there goes Holtzy, and there goes Arico, Zollers, Carr, and West now gets the ship righted just as the 147 of Jace Williams gets there. Williams not able to go by, and then Colin Allen on the 355 also up into the mix as well. As we shuffle through the tunnel section on lap number 2, time going by awfully quick here. We're already halfway through this heat race, and it's going to be actually very close to see. Oh, Arico down in the sand. A couple guys getting caught out early by that sand section, and Arico is another one to fall down in it. He's going to lose a transfer spot because of that as well. Nygren on the 76 goes up into that final transfer spot, but then Seth Carr went down as well, which will promote, I believe, Race Cobble into the final transfer spot. And that whole flurry of riders behind Cobble now trying to go into a better position as Arico shoves one of the Suzuki riders, that is Crotty, out of the way. And then Arico goes down, takes Seth Carr, I believe that is, with him. Then Crotty goes down, and Zach Fisher goes down. So everybody that was just about to start battling Cobble for that final transfer spot hits the deck, and Race Cobble of the Nickman Motorsports 139 machine has some breathing room to deal with as he tries to make this main event. Up ahead of him, though, still absolute chaos inside of the transfer positions as Nygren shuffles to the inside trying to get around Talon Zollers. So they come to the line right here. About 4 minutes on the clock, so they'll most likely get back around to complete another lap before the white flag would wave. So we're looking at probably 3 laps to go right now. And this battle continues to be furious as Nygren down the inside of Zollers. So Zollers triples in right there, and then triples again, and then table over single out. Oh, and then Nygren gets sideways, and then Carson West almost goes through the front door as his front tires started getting those speed wobbles as he rode the nose of that Ice Spice Kawasaki. Wild little ride for some of these guys early on. And nobody looking terribly comfortable on this track. Another thing about this track being as long as it is a lot of these guys didn't have the opportunity to, really put in a lot of laps to learn the track, because those qualifying sessions that they get are only 8 minutes each. And you maybe get 4 of those, 5 of those in a 1 hour time span based on everyone getting the race done and then having the server restart and everything like that. So you think an 8-minute quali session, you're only going to get 6 laps maybe if you're lucky. And once that is all said and done, you're only doing, 24 laps before you have to go out and race this thing. So not a lot of laps to learn this track, feel comfortable on it, and get ready to go racing. But these guys are starting to make it look a little bit better, particularly out front. Of course, Balzer looks like he's had the track for a week already based on how fast he's going. That 137 in qualifying was unbelievable, and he will check in before time expires, well before time expires, actually, 5:22 on the clock. So 2 laps to go now for Balzer. and he is feeling the absolute flow out front right now. Must be feeling spicy knowing that Bryce Whelan is definitely, at the very least, entering tonight on the back foot. And as I say that, Balzer goes down as well. So more mistakes from our guys trying to battle in this front group. Nobody looking comfortable here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. So Balzer picks it back up, still in the race lead. He had that big of a gap over Colin Allen, who has moved up into the second position. And Allen I should say, settling in. Has a nice little gap back to Cody Cooper, Talon Zollers, Brandon Nygren, who are all in a little battle amongst themselves for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Race Cobble now up into 6th. Evan Holt has made it into 7th, but he's side by side with Joey Arico. And Arico on the 828 to the outside, going to try to make that pass stick, and he's got it. So it seems like that middle line through that corner might be a little bit better, just a little bit deeper, can carry more speed and momentum, and to get to the inside, he might have to check up just that little bit more. Seen a couple passes through that middle line and that sweeper down at the far end of the circuit. And Holtze slips back another position now as Rico goes to 7th. Holtze back to 8th. And now here is Jace Williams, who is in the final transfer spot. So once again, we have guys trying to get to the battle for the final transfer spot, but they're too busy battling with each other as Carson West and Seth Carr lands on Carson West, and then they both go down. And again, we see it where these guys outside of transfer spot are making life more difficult for themselves instead of racing forward. They race each other, and they go down. That was a battle for 10th, and it is now done and dusted. So Sonny Spicer and Seth Crotty both went by, but then Jace Williams must have went down because he's now right in front of these guys. So white flag out for our leader, Balzer. Crotty and Spicer now tripling into this rhythm section in 10th and 11th, trying to close that gap down to Jace Williams, who's just entering the whoops ahead of him. And, oh, Crotty got hit from behind Sonny Spicer. Very fortunate not to get a front end lock right there. Drag race down this start straight again, hard on the brakes into this bull corner, then right back up through the gears into the whoops. Usually try to enter them in 3rd or 4th. Crotty kind of bouncing a little bit. And these guys look like they're maybe tightening that gap up to Jace Williams. And Williams has got to try to hold on for one final lap here at Atlanta. To the inside, over the tunnel jump. And inside again, doubling into this rhythm section. Then they go triple. And some guys are able to go quad, but Williams actually going to go over, single, crunch through this section. And here comes Seth Crotty. Oh, and now Williams is just going to cut the track. So Crotty will have seen that and know now that Williams will have some penalties applied to his total race time based on that cut right there. So I wonder if Crotty is going to back down the challenge or if he's just going to go try to pass Jace Williams for this final transfer spot regardless. So again, double, triple through this section. Now Crotty off the track a little bit right there. That'll be a couple penalties thrown his way, but I think he's just trying to go after Williams for this final transfer spot anyway. Into the second set of sand that they go. Hopping through, pretty good line there from Crotty. Williams has responded. And this is going to come down to the end. By the looks of it, oh, Williams off the track to the inside, crosses back over cases, and Crotty goes by, and Spicer goes down on his rear tire. So now Williams has got to try to pass Seth Crotty up front. Balzer takes the win in the heat race, but all eyes on this battle for the final transfer spot. Jace Williams going to go for the full send. He's got 2 sets of whoops to try to make it happen on Seth Crotty to move into 9th. Hopping a little bit, and down he goes. That's going to be Crotty's position for the taking as long as he stays up. So Nygren will cross the line in 2nd, and we're going to wait and see if Crotty can bring it home here in the final transfer spot. And it looks like the 59 machine will do it. So Seth Crotty, Boots House, backed by Dr. Do Racing, puts it up into the main event here tonight at Atlanta. Jace Williams ends up taking out Sonny Spicer in the last corner for nothing. Joey Arico going through with Evan Holt, Colin Allen, Cody Cooper, Talon Zollers, Race Cobble, Brandon Nygren, and our race winner, Rasmus Balzer. So we're still waiting for a couple guys to finish this thing off here. A couple guys finishing right here. Blowers, Seth Carr, Jacob Kelly, Zach Fisher, Bronson McClure, Dominic Paolini, Carl Novak, Jackson Craig, all back here just trying to make it through. And you can see speed-wise, these guys are solid riders for sure, but riding this track versus racing it is 2 different things. Novak hopping through the whoops here. Quick shout out to Neil Wheels, aka Neil Wells, in the chat. $10 donation headed our way. Thanks so much for the support. And he says, not much, but it might buy a coffee at the airport. Thanks for all the content over the years. I actually get most of my airport expenses reimbursed traveling for Racer X, but thank you. I will maybe actually take my wife out for a coffee tomorrow morning as a nice way to say, hey, thanks for taking care of our child while I stream these races every Wednesday night. So thanks for the $10. I very much appreciate it. And that is 250 Heat 1 done and dusted. Erasmus Balzer gets it done. And Zollers goes through as well, another championship contender. So now the real question begs, what can Bryce Whelan do with the last gate pick and no qualifying time in 250 Heat number 2? The championship leader up by 22 points. Missed the race last time out, which you have to go all the way back to Detroit was the last time these East Riders raced. And Whelan was not on the gate. So unfortunately, we didn't see him there. But fortunately for everybody else, they closed a lot of points up in the championship. And now Whelan might let them crawl all the way back into this thing if he is again out of tonight's main event. I don't believe I will be streaming RFGPs this year. It really, for me, boils down to I already have a lot on my plate. And I think RFGPs were even Sunday or something last year. And most of the time I'm traveling back from a race on Sunday. So I don't have the time available. But these Wednesday races still fit into my schedule. And I'm very much happy to still bring you guys these content races and coverage of them over the years, because I definitely know I would not be where I am in my career without MX Simulator and the awesome community of people that are here. So just trying to pay it forward as much as I can by coming back and streaming these races every year and hopefully making you guys all look pretty good along the way. But sometimes I just have a little too much on my plate these days. So sorry that I won't be covering GPs, but it's the way it is. Oh, they're on Mondays. Okay. Yeah, I mean, again, like if I wanted to never see my wife and daughter, I could stream more stuff, but try to take a few nights out of the week and spend some time with them because I kind of love them and stuff, and I don't really want to act like, you know, the sim stuff is more important than them. I mean, sometimes it is, though, but, you know. All right, 250 Heat number 2 coming up. I've already seen a little bit of what this track race is like. Now let's see what these riders in the 250 East class do here for Heat 2. Emmett Sun, Trent Adams, Jared Higgins, Arthur Miranda, Alec Horn, Hunter Plum, Alex Zellner, Noah Viney, Brett Thomas, Austin Partolo, Tom Quino, I think is how you say it, Nick Tomasunis, Matt Cromie, Tyler Nichols, Jared Gummison, Christopher McPherson, and Brett Powers. So, actually, where is Bryce Whelan? He is not here at all. Wow. So that, oh no, there he is. I missed it. Went right over top of him. Oh, man. Yeah, streaming AMs would be even more impossible if GPs were on Monday and I can't do a Monday night. I definitely can't do a Sunday night. Sorry. All right, let's see what happens in this one. And really the key is what happens to Bryce Whelan. Let's see if he does end up lining all the way on the outside gate. He will. He's going to be far outside. So I'm actually keen to just focus on him off the start and see if a guy of his caliber with the great starts that he gets actually can hole shot from this outside gate pick. So here we go. This is crucial moments right now. Bryce Whelan, can he make it through the heat race? Here we go. Pretty decent start, but he's going to be shoved wide in this first corner. He's going to have to let some of these guys go. Oh, and he gets taken down. So Whelan down in the first corner, off the bike as well. He's going to be way back. And the question looms with him, how much time does he actually have on the track as Christopher McPherson leads on the first lap, and Tom Quino moves up into the second position. Noah Viney with a good start as well. Viney's always a good starter. He's found his way into third with Alec Horn. And everybody funneling to that inside here on this first lap of the race, trying to defend. Hopping over Alec Horn, losing a position to Matt Cromie last time out. Remember, Matt Cromie was trying to break perhaps the longest streak between professional sim wins ever. I have to go all the way back to 2014 Arizona, the last time Matt Cromie won a 250 main event, and he led a ton of the Detroit Supercross, and it just fell apart at the very end as Quino goes down and another rider goes down. That's Viney. So Viney and Quino both going down. I see Whelan hung up in the background on top of Nick Thomas-Sunis by the looks of it, but a lot of guys were down as well. So Viney only got up in like 5th spot as Quino goes down again. And Viney goes down again. What is going on right now with these guys? Some serious problems, or is there a red flag? There is a red flag. Red flag, red flag, red flag. Apologies. I don't have the messages up because people like to type some really bad things in the messages, so I always keep my messages off. So I apologize. I didn't see that the red flag was coming. Everybody was going down. I was so confused. But apparently we have a red flag situation. Usually it has to do with a scripting error, would be my guess. But we'll resack him and rerun him. So again, comes down to Bryce Whelan and seeing if he can get a good start. Let's go towards the middle a little bit more, though. Austin Pardelau right next to the box here on the 113. As the 30 card goes sideways, who's going to get the whole shot this time? Can Whelan do it? Or will somebody else take it? Off the line we go. That's a little better start for Whelan. He's going to come in about 3rd spot. Still gets pushed wide. Still goes down the exact same way. This time it's Alec Horn with the whole shot. Horn leads. Zellner right there alongside with Tyler Nichols moving into 3rd position. Noah Viney, another good start. He's up in the 2nd spot as everyone's scrubbing over this big double going into that 2nd corner, I should say. And Viney settles in now right behind Horn, who replenishes himself with the early race lead. Looks like Cromie's up here again on the 90, and then the 161 of Nichols also with a good start. Horn down the inside. Nice defensive line that time. We thought that the outside line was working a little bit better, but Viney couldn't quite make it happen. Now Viney goes defensive blocking Nichols, and he tucks to the inside. Viney ripping through both of those ruts, looking really solid actually. A little bit short on both of those double, triple options through there. So hopping into the sand, Viney actually tripling in right there, which allows him to kind of just double all the way through. And then look at this, launching to the outside, sliding it in, and almost getting into Nichols, who goes by. And then side by side over the double nearly as Cromie on the 90 closes up. So all these guys in pretty good positions. There seems to be a large gap already functioning up behind them to some further transfer spots. And speaking of transfer spots, Bryce Whelan is in one. So the number 1 machine with no qualifying time going into tonight. It looked like he may end up missing the night show, gets in, and right now he is currently in a transfer spot as well, which is critical for this title fight. So like I said, the question with him remains, how much time does he actually have on the track? Because if you don't have a qualifying time in, it could have been a simple issue of a server he was in not loading times or something like that. I don't have the official word of why he didn't have a time on the timesheets going into tonight, but he does get in. He does have last gate pick. And so far, it seems like he's relatively comfortable and kind of seems to know what everything looks like or feels like on the track. But he also could just be that good. Obviously, as the reigning 250 East champion, current points leader. And he's starting to close that gap down. Oh, is that Cromie? It is. Cromie on the 90 going down in the rollers. He was down with Noah Viney. So Noah Viney also down, and Cromie giving him a little bit of business going to the next corner. I don't know if that was a situation where they got into each other, or if Viney did something that Cromie wasn't happy about, caused himself to go down, and then Cromie hit him. Not too sure of that situation right now, but Cromie trying to sneak away a little bit now from Viney. And Alec Horn has got himself a 6-second lead, and suddenly Bryce Whelan is all the way up into 3rd place on the track. So Whelan has made some good progress. Tyler Nichols getting sideways, isn't going to get the double. Bryce Whelan's trying to go over top. Whew, almost landed on top of him, but he went a little bit long just to make sure. So tripling in, tripling again. All these guys going 3, 3, 3, 1, and our leader is down. Alec Horn is down at the exit of the whoops. So here comes Whelan. Is he going to steal the lead away from his teammate? No. Horn retakes the lead, getting going again. And into the whoops they go. Whelan getting kicked around a little bit. So Whelan to the inside, going over the table, double. Odd choice of line right there by Bryce Whelan, in my opinion. No one I've seen today has been taking that one. But he is now closed right up to the rear fender of Alec Horn. Horn on the 46, Whelan on the 1. And Whelan's going to get this triple in. Triple, table over single option. Oh my gosh, Alec Horn again. Almost going through the front end of the machine right there on the Phil Ski and Snowboard Yamaha. Whelan staying a little bit lower on that double behind him. So it seems like middle rut before that double, inside rut after, and then inside here. And then a lot of just kind of flowing through these two sections under the tunnel. Carrying speed through the sand, landing in that inside rut. Middle rut right there so you can launch a little bit farther into the sand here. Oh, Whelan's down. Into the tough blocks he went, and off the bike he goes. So Nichols goes through. Chromie goes by, and Quinault, I believe that is, also in the mix. The Ambara ride looking like Hunter Lawrence out here, and I think that's literally just because I have the AMA pack that Bootsy made, that I even have his skins, because I don't think that's a pack that I've downloaded aside. Like, the Ambara skins don't ring a bell to me. But Quinault looking really strong out here tonight. Don't have much backstory on him, whether he's coming from the amateur ranks or what have you, but first time we've seen of him this year, and here he is battling with the championship leader in a heat race. Always kind of cool to see some fresh faces do well, regardless of where they came from. Perhaps he's raced the European circuit much this year, and he's also looking strong over there. Chromie, Whelan, all closing up onto Nichols on that 161 as Horn continues to lead. Just about 20 seconds left on the clock, and Chromie to the outside, and Nichols is going to move into second place. Nice little move for the Chrome Dog. Outside triple in, triple again, and table over single. Actually doesn't seem like that line is all that much faster than inside double, triple, and quad out if you can, but Whelan is going to make the pass on Nichols regardless. So the battle continues between Whelan and Chromie, but instead they've both moved up into second and third. So they kind of skim through the sand section right there, and then outside versus inside options going into this sand section. Oh, Nichols, a big off in the sand. Had the same thing happen to him that Whelan did. Got sideways into the tough blocks and then catapulted to the ground. The tough blocks in this game, they have a weird collision about them. It looks like you can go right through them, which you kind of can, but they have little shape files in them. So they actually are almost designed to slow you down as you hit them, but not necessarily spit you off the bike. But if you're going really fast, they'll just grab you and send you over the bars like we saw there with Nichols. So interesting little tidbit there about the tough blocks in this game. Some of them actually are solid, like the inside markers on some of these corners are very solid, and if you hit them, you'll just have an instant fall off. But most of them are usually a little bit like softer of a feel. As Chromie and Whelan continue in second place, it's a Phil's 1-2-3 at the moment. And Alec Horn has taken the white flag out front on his number 46 ride. He's looking very solid throughout this entire heat race, and now he's navigating through the last lap, trying to win this thing. Chromie still second, Whelan third, Quinault in fourth, Tyler Nichols is in fifth, Emmett Sund up to sixth. There's Noah Viney in seventh, Austin Partolo is in eighth, and Jared Gummison is in ninth, but he has some company. Christopher McPherson and Alex Zellner trying to close that gap down. A little bit of a case there for McPherson. Gummison, the Mid-Atlantic Power Wash 481, trying to hold it on for this final lap to make it through. I mean, he's got Atlantic in his name. Surely he makes the main event in Atlanta. Got about 3/4 of a lap to try to hold this thing down, though, and make the main event. And McPherson is going to give him as much as he can handle to try to stop Gummison from going through. Oh, Gummison into the tough blocks. And actually, McPherson was passed by Zellner. So a different face trying to close up on Gummison here. And Gummison's hoping perhaps somebody ahead of him goes down so he just gets a gift into a better transfer position. Navigating this final lap, though, as our leaders are coming to the flag. And these guys still have about 30 seconds of track to work with here. Is coming to the line up front. It is going to be the 46 ride of Alec Horn taking the win in 250 heat number 2. Gummison, wow, looking really sharp through that rhythm section, but the whoops could be a different beast. Anybody going to go down in front of him, or will Gummison actually hit the deck himself? Kind of hopping through, kicking back and forth. Great drive right there by Zellner. If he can do that again in the second set of whoops, you never know. Here we go, battle for the final transfer spot. Zellner getting on top of him, hopping a little bit, and really hopping is Gummison. Zellner, is he going to send it down the inside? No, he gets into his rear tire and goes down. So Gummison on the 481 survives just like we saw in the other heat race and makes it through to the main event. McPherson, Zellner, Powers, Thomas, Plum, Adams, Higgins, Miranda, Tomasunis, and Hallpayne, along with Heinzelman, missing out in this one. As we go up to our leaders and take a look at Alec Horn, hanging out with the fellow Phils riders that made this a Phils 1-2-4, actually, as Tom Quinault moved up into third place on the final lap after what appears to have been a Bryce Whelan crash. So Whelan does go through into the main event. He is finished up in fourth place in this one. Nichols fifth, is Noah Viney in sixth, Emmett Sun seventh, Partillo in eighth, and then of course we saw Gummison coming in the line. He ended up in ninth in this one. So a cheeky little heat race here. And the big story with Whelan not making it through out of qualifying, gets the champions provisional more or less, being in the optimal position in the points, gets a freebie into the night show and then races his way in after that. And he has made it through in this one, so a nice job for him. But the Phils guys are just basically saying, hey, look at us. We all basically match except Whelan. Whelan's weird. Well, Whelan and Horn's helmets are matching, and then Chromie has a Bell helmet with canvas gear, whereas Horn has the Fox gear. I don't know. I just feel like you all gotta run red. Interesting that they have different sets of gear, though. Kind of cool. And yeah, as to echo the sentiments of a couple people in chat, cool to see Noah Viney back. Not only we've seen him a couple times this year in MX Sim racing, but he's also back riding by the sounds of it, which is good news for him. Had a huge crash, as many of you are alluding to, back in, or I think early February, or perhaps this was January now that it's been so long, I feel like. But definitely was cooped up a little bit, resting and recovering, and glad to hear that he's made a relatively quick recovery and is able to get back on the bike, because he definitely does rip in real life. Last year's Moto Scouting Combine winner at Fox Raceway. So went along with Hayden Deegan and Chance Hymas as the other two Combine winners last year, and Noah Viney was another one of them. All right. 250 racing is done, at least for the time being, because now we got the 450 class coming up. 450 heat number 1 going to the gate. I apologize already that I kind of sound a little nasally right now. I was in Glendale over the weekend, and as I'm sure some of you have heard, there was some issues with some chemicals being in the air inside of the stadium, and I actually woke up feeling horrible on Sunday, but I wasn't sick. I just felt extremely fatigued, and my nose is all stuffed up and stuff like that. And a lot of other people experience the same issues, so I'm still actually like coming down from that. I'm not actually sick. I just have like this weird, the inside of my nostrils were burned kind of thing. So apologies again, but hopefully I don't sound too terrible. Oh, McPherson, not a fan of red flags. Although I think McPherson, didn't you hole shot after that? Or was that the first one You're right up at the front. Does suck sometimes when you feel like you're in the flow and then a red flag ruins that flow or ruins a potential opportunity that you had. Alrighty, let's take a look at who's lined up for this one. Looks like we've got ourselves Brandon Larson, Ethan Parks, Tyler Lang, Anthony Pachone, Adam Holm, Eduardo Simos, Alexis Leclerc, Colby Eaglin, Matthias Janis, Devin Davis, Tyron Tomich, Jacob Hubbard, Bodie Parker, all going in this one. And before you guys all start complaining about there's only 14 guys, what the heck? We've already been over this before. A limited amount of people actually earn pro licenses, which is what you need to race the 450 class in this game. Not everybody that races the 250 class is even eligible to race the 450 class. So by the time we get late in the year and a couple other guys have already seen the wayside, we've already had penalties and a couple other things like that, the 450 field definitely diminishes, I should say. In fact, that exact concept of the 450 field diminishing is what earned me my best ever Supercross result in this game. I got a 5th at Salt Lake City in 2012. And I think that night there was, I don't know, 35 people on the gate, so it wasn't super diminished, but it happens. Not everyone plays this game all year long, and on top of that, not everyone earns a pro license in this game, so yeah. Yeah, and I don't know if it was carbon monoxide poisoning or whatever it was. I've obviously seen some people on Vital saying some stuff that they got, and I know a couple people in the industry that also had red puffy eyes and some nose issues and a couple things like that. Mine was like, it felt like I had sawdust in my throat, and then my nose was all stuffed up. Those are the two things that I had the worst for sure. All right, let's go racing 450 heat number 1. Who's going to make it out of this one in Atlanta? We are off and running. Kind of cool to see like a lesser group going into the first corner as well, because it usually tends to make the starts a little bit cleaner. Yeah, I mean, look at everyone made it through the first corner. You love to see it. Jacob Hubbard rips the whole shot. Leclerc right up alongside of him, going over the finish line jump. Everybody absolutely tossing it. Trileys, quadsies over the first little double here, and Leclerc pushes Hubbard out over the tunnel jump. The 7 machine trying to go to the lead, and he's got it. Pushed into the outside entry into that rut, and he goes into the race lead. Hubbard falls through into second, but here comes Colby Eaglin on the 24 trying to make the move. Hubbard's trying to defend and stay in second place, but Eaglin around the outside into this sweeper is going to take over the position. Stays a little bit lower as well. And moves up into P2. So Leclerc now from Eaglin. As Leclerc, option line right there, then triples out. Oh, big crash. Hubbard down with Janis. Anybody else going to get together with them? It looks like everyone's able to squeak through. But the 78 and the 14 machines both on the ground. There's Janis rejoining behind him. And then our fastest qualifier, Tyler Lang, is behind them. So Lang must have gone down early on. And now Lang has to do some battling forward as the fastest qualifier. Austin Bear currently bringing up the caboose of this field at the moment, but everyone's still jockeying for those early positions as Tomich, who is our second fastest qualifier, goes down as well. So Lang and Tomich both buried back here. Or excuse me, Tomich I believe was third fastest, but he was definitely right up at the front there with T-Lang. Look at Tomich going for the quad triple. I knew somebody was going to do that line in the 450 class, and Tomich showing that it is possible on the first lap of a heat race here. As, oh my gosh, how did all those guys survive? A couple of guys getting kicked around. Tomich pushing out wide to block Lang and holds the position. And then there's just a freight train of guys going through the whoops up ahead of him as we stack it up in the corner. Oh my goodness, and a huge crash. Who's that coming from the other lane? It's Lang. Lang gets into Larson and Devin Davis as Lang had crashed in the whoops and came flying in. Weird moment right there. And now Lang, our fastest qualifier, is dead last in his heat race. So this is an interesting situation to start the night where even though it's a lesser heat race, not as stacked, we have a change for the lead going on as well as, oh, Eaglin had just got it and Leclerc gets it back when Eaglin goes down. But yeah, Lang has got to come from dead last to try to get into a qualifying position. So Eaglin now gets up in 4th ahead of Simos, Parker, Parks, Hubbard, and Tomic now into a transfer position. As Tomic following through with Hubbard just ahead of him. Janis is also right there in the mix, as well as Hubbard getting kicked sideways in and out of the tough blocks. And let's go on board with Tomic to see what this looks like from his perspective and see if he can show us that cheeky little quad that he's busting, or show us how to miss the double and lose a transfer spot as Matthias Janis jumps over top of him. So triple in. Not going to go for the quad this time, but might quad out. Yep, a lot of these 450 guys are doing that off of the bigger single. And carry momentum into that wall, backside it, and then up into 5th gear, getting on top of every whoop as much as you can. It seems like these whoops, at least the first set, a little bit peakier and kind of catching some of these guys out. Oh, another rider down, so Tomic going to gain a position. So they kind of hop through. Fascinating onboard action here as Tomic closes up on Matthias Janis. Goes that outside line, but it doesn't work, and actually he got pushed out even a little bit farther. Just such an interesting perspective here to kind of see how these guys try to navigate and make a pass, especially at these speeds. It's, like I said, one thing to go fast on this track. It's another thing to race this track as fast as these guys are racing it. And, oh my gosh, Tomic still went for that double even though he missed the rut and somehow didn't get kicked sideways or go down. But he is back up into 8th, which means Brandon Larson has slipped back to 9th, and Lang has already found his way just outside the top 10. But he's also got Colby Eaglin back here with him, and Eaglin is down as well. So through goes Austin Bear. I think that's Devin Davis also going by. And now Eaglin has his work cut out to get into a transfer spot, which right now is Brandon Larson, but Tyler Lang is trying to close that gap down. So odd the way that this night has gone so far, where our fastest guys really have not been kind of showing their strengths. I mean, aside from maybe Balzer was really good in his heat race, but it took him a little while to get to the front. Meanwhile, Lang, who was fastest qualifier going into tonight, has spent the entire heat race, almost all 6 minutes of this thing so far, out of a transfer spot. But he's going to maybe go through right here. Parker to the outside after getting up from a crash, it looks like, with Hubbard. And Lang's going to gain 2 spots because Belar's got kicked sideways. He's going to slip back to 10th. Lang goes all the way up to 8th and now has Hubbard in 7th just in front of him. So there is Hubbard on the 78, and Janis now getting passed by Ethan Parks on the 147. Look at this, Lang to the inside, going to just try to pass Hubbard and Janis in one foul swoop. Doesn't quite get Janis, but he does get around Hubbard. Shows the difference between those inside and outside options, though. And Janis is trying to leap over Ethan Parks right here. Tight little battle in what I believe is 4-6 as Parks, little mistake, crossing over. Just heavy pressure from Janis and Lang behind him. See if Janis goes for a pass here down the inside. Thought about it, but backs out of the challenge. Anybody going triple quad? Lang's trying. Little short, but still triples out clean. 3 different lines right there. They ended up all kind of working out pretty similarly. And into the whoops. Everyone looking solid through there. Look at Lang just going to try to power down the inside of Janis. Old teammates, but he backs out of the challenge. And everyone solid on top of the whoops right there as the white flag is waving for our race leader, Alexis Leclerc. But this battle is so frantic right now in what is now a battle for 4th. These guys have passed a couple more guys in this process, so I think some guys went down. But Parks is in 4th, Janis 5th, and Lang in 6th. And they're catching up to Anthony Pachone in 3rd. So this might be a 5-rider train before long. Different options right here as... Look at, I think that inside line, double, triple, quad, is actually faster what Parks just did right there. He pulled away from those guys who tripled in. Oh, and then he gets dragged to the ground by Janis after a front end tuck. So Hubbard hits him, and Tomic goes by, Larson goes by, And Parker goes by into the final transfer spot. So just like that, Parks goes from in a transfer spot in 4th back to out of a transfer spot in 10th. That's how close all these guys still are right here. And kind of diversified the field a little bit right there, but it has been all Alexis Leclerc at the front, aside from a momentary blip when Colby Eaglin went by him. But you can see Leclerc nailing the triple quad triple through there. I mean, this is just a track that suits a lot of Leclerc's strengths, which is momentum and corner speed on very high speed tracks with long straightaways and some huge lines to hit. A lot of things that Leclerc is very good at and has been good at over the years. So here it is. The number 7 machine brings it home. 450 Heat 1 goes to Alexis Leclerc. Adam Holm looks like he'll follow him through in 2nd. Pachon trying to deal with pressure from Janice as they come into the whoops. Janice on top, maybe thinking inside, but Pachon just defends. Janice goes outside and actually is going to get passed by Lang, so Lang gets all the way up into 4th when all is said and done here. Thought about trying to launch to 3rd, but we'll settle for 4th. Janice in 5th, Hubbard 6th, Tomic 7th, Parker 8th, and Parks does get back into a transfer spot. He'll go through in 9th after Brandon Larson tossed it away somewhere. Didn't see where the 73 went down. And Colby Eagland is going to the last chance qualifier. So Eagland, not sure what's going on with the district designs team the last couple weeks, but it has been nothing but good news for them. And now Eagland has to go to the LCQ. As Simos shoves a little bit wide, Bear goes by, Devin Davis, and Eagland's just sitting there, I guess, contemplating life. He'll be kicked out of the server momentarily. Or maybe he'll finish his heat race. It's Devin Davis just about to cross. Simos, Bear, Larson, and then into our transfer positions, which was Parks, Parker, Tomic, Hubbard, Janice, Lang, Pachon, Holm, and Leclerc. So Leclerc starting off on a very solid footing here tonight as he tries to claw this championship down from 19 points to something lower than that when all is said and done here tonight. Braden Carter leading this championship by those 19 points. I was trying to figure out what Leclerc has on his boot, but it's actually just his foot pegs going through the boot. What has he got, some sort of irrigation system on the bottom of his boot? Pretty solid setup, but Leclerc's been rocking the blue all year long, and that's another thing too that a lot of these guys have been doing, is putting those chains around their neck as well. It's just all stuff that the fantastic modelers in the game have done to create options for some of these guys to use. So that was Heat 1. Coming up in Heat 2, we will see our championship leader and 2-time defending champion, Braden Carter, which we've talked about it a couple times already this year, but now we have to get even closer to the point of which this becomes a talking point. Carter is trying to do something this year that has never been done in the 14-year history of MX Simulator Supercross, and that's win 3 Premier Class titles in a row. Tyson Fresquez has 4 Premier Class titles, but he only won them 2 in a row and then 2 in a row again. And the first Supercross champion in MX Simulator history was Brian Haskell back in 2010, and he won it again in 2011, but then did not repeat in 2012. So Carter is one of just 3 two-time champions in the series' history, but he's also trying to become the first ever 3-time champion in a row and move himself into some pretty rarefied air. He's also, I believe, currently now back to 4th in all-time wins because Leclerc and he are going back and forth. I think Leclerc picked up his 18th career win last week in Glendale, but Carter's now on 17, and they still have a little ways to go to catch Tyson Fresquez's 29 career 450 Premier Class wins, but they have now, I think, both eclipsed Brian Haskell in career wins as well. All right, Caleb Hall, Alex Heckman, Aaron Rockefeller, Braden Tharp, Seth Shirley, Braden Castellaneta, Frank Jackson, Caden Speck, Tanner Thorson, Jeremy Smith, Connor Holiak, Chase Blakely, Connor Holiak again, and Chase Blakely again, Braden Carter, And Hayden Stevenson going to the line. So there is those shiny red plates on Braden Carter. Whew. Tossing him. So final heat race of the night coming up. Again, same story, 6 minutes plus a lap, and the top 9 riders transfer through to the main event. 14 riders on the gate, so we'll see who makes it out of this group right here. Should be another fun one to watch. Let's see who gets it done here tonight in Atlanta. 450 Heat 2, off and running. That's the 20 of Tharp, who leads him into the first corner. He pushes out JS4 a little bit wide, but JS4 will follow him through. It is Tharp who goes over quad off track, back on into the race lead, leads the first lap. Jeremy Smith in second. Right behind him is Connor Holiak, who moves up into third. Might get landed on here a little bit tight there with Hayden Stevenson down the inside. Oh, and Stevenson got into a rider, caused a little bit of a stack up there in the background. So interesting mix of front four back here, as looks like Carter got off to about a 7th place start. And Tharp leads on the 20 TS CZ Productions ride. Jeremy Smith right behind him. Holiak, Hayden Stevenson. Thorson moves up into the top 5. There's Blakely in 6th. Carter 7th. Frank Jackson 8th. And Castellaneta early right now in the final transfer spot in 9th. And Tharp already pulling away a little bit. And this group behind him tightening up in a hurry. As Frank Jackson, I believe, in the background just tumbled onto his head going into the tunnel. Will lose a transfer spot because of that. And then Chase Blakely on the 21 machine also went down, entering the sand. So a couple guys in the background having some tough luck and allowing this front group to kind of thin out just a little bit more. As Connor Holiak deals with the pressure from Braden Carter. Carter on the 1, down the inside, shoots up into the top 5. And we got a change for second place. Tanner Thorson and Hayden Stevenson both leaping by Jeremy Smith. Oh, man. It's so interesting to see how wild these guys are getting through that first set of whoops. The second set, maybe it's just because it's a slower entry to the corner after. They're not flying through that exit of the whoops. But the exit of the whoops on the start straight is really catching guys out. And as I say that, Jeremy Smith goes down swapping at the end of the whoops and has a big one. Is he going to lose transfer spot? I think he did not. Or maybe he did by 1 spot. Caden Speck might be in 9th place now. Seth Shirley found his way forward. Aaron Rockefeller, Connor Holiak, Braden Castellaneta, Tanner Thorson. A lot of names up here in the mix. And going to be interesting to see if anybody from behind this group can work their way into a transfer spot. Because these are all guys that would definitely feel they should be in the main event. Back to our race leader, Tharp out front under the tunnel he goes. This is a very solid performance right now for Tharp. Lap and a half in and busting out a big line right off the start as well. We know he's a great starter. He's always been that way. But to lead a heat race to this margin and still look rather comfortable doing it, not too shabby for the 20 machine. Let's go back to some of these other battles though. Castellaneta, Thorson, Holiak, Shirley, Speck, nose to tail. Let's go on board with Speck, actually, see what this looks like from his perspective. Right behind Seth Shirley there on the 44. And as I say that, he has a crash. He gets a little bit too wily, goes long on the triple in, instant legs off. And who else was down? Thorson. Tanner Thorson down on the 91. More guys running into problems here in this heat race. Oh, Blakely flirting with the edge of the whoops and swapping his way through, but keeps it on 2 wheels. Crucial not to crash when you're battling for a transfer spot, as Blakely is in 8th, but he's side by side with Caleb Hall, who's trying to move up into better position. They're both in transfer spot, but they're really fighting hard with each other, and Hall is going to run into Blakely's rear tire and go off the outside of the track right there, and then chooses to miss the tunnel and rejoin still in 9th. I think that's not going to sit too well with the race officials there, as he pushes out Thorson and Frank Jackson, and he most certainly would have been passed by them if he stayed on the track where he exited the track. It's one thing to go around an obstacle. It's another thing to go around a tunnel where there could be someone coming the other direction. It's basically looked at it as 2 bad track re-entries at that point. But hopefully that sorts itself out a little bit. And no harm, no foul in the end. Let's go back up front. Tharp still leading this thing. 4.5 minutes have come and gone, so 1.5 minutes plus a lap still to go in this heat race. And he's trying to lead this thing wire to wire. Which, against this field in the 450 class, I don't care who your name is or what you've done in the past. Winning a 450 heat race is not an easy feat. As evidenced by the fact that even some of the best riders in the world, like Braden Carter, find himself struggling to do so. As he tucks the front wheel right there, stacks up Castellaneta and Stevenson a little bit. And Carter able to get back around Stevenson and Castellaneta back into second place, and the chase continues as he tries to close down on Tharp. Two laps to go. Let's see if he can make it happen as Castellaneta has a big one. Shirley just had to wait for him to stop rolling and tuck underneath to go by. So Holiak goes through. Smith is going to go by, and then Castellaneta will remount in the 7th position. So did not lose a transfer spot, but did lose about 4 positions in the process. Blakely still 8th, and then Frank Jackson, after his early fall, has made it all the way back to 9th. Caden Speck is off the track in 10th. Caleb Hall 11th, Aaron Rockefeller 12th, and Caden Speck goes down, moving these guys both up a position. Then Rockefeller goes down, which is going to allow maybe Thorson by both of those guys up into 11th. Caden Speck 12th, Rockefeller 13th, and Heckman down here in P14. This is Thorson and Caden Speck absolutely going after it right now. Just plowing into people. All right. White flag about to come out for Tharp in the race lead of this one. Making it look a little bit too easy out front for sure. It's not easy to be this consistent on this type of track with the type of talent behind you that he's had, but the early lead and advantage that he has certainly has helped and has put him in a zone where he can just do his laps. Almost put it in cruise control. You get into a little bit of a tunnel vision situation when you're riding as well as Tharp is. And it just flows and everything works well together. So he's got 5 seconds in hand back to Carter. Carter's going to try to close this gap down, but it really seems like Tharp, unless he crashes, has got this thing. Yeah, Tharp looks like he's pretty well through this. It comes down to the whoops, I think, again. Kind of skipping through those rollers nicely. Oh, and as I say that, he's going to find a way to try to lose this thing. He's going to stay on 2 wheels crucially. That's a lot of time loss. Oh, but Carter was down, so he's okay. That was a very weird crash. Sometimes happens when these guys take off the lip of a jump. Unlike an arcade type game, there's really not much you can do in this game when something goes wrong on the lip of the jump. If you get kicked over the bars, if the rear tire gets kicked awkwardly, any of those things, there's no coming back from it. If you're jumping to the right off the track, you're jumping to the right off the track. You can't magically float back onto the track like you can in arcade games. So as you saw right there, the rear tire kicked a little bit sideways coming off the jump, and then the whole time he's just panic revving, humping the bike, trying to bring it back. In the end, it all works out. Braden Tharp wins 450 heat. Number 2, double backflip over the finish line. It's going to be Carter crossing the line 2nd. Castellaneta will finish up in 3rd. Connor Holiak looks to have got 4th, all but sewed up, and he does just as Stevenson crosses behind him in 5th. Seth Shirley in 6th. Oh, a bunch of guys down before the whoops. Caleb Hall is up into 7th. Blakely 8th. Jackson moves up to 9th, it looks like, going into the final corner. And he is going to push Jeremy Smith out of a transfer spot in doing so. So Caden Speck, Thorson, JS4, all going to miss out. No, excuse me. Oh, Blakely was down going to the flag, and Smith makes it. So Blakely crashed 5 feet before the finish line jump in 8th spot and finishes 11th. Oh, you hate to see it for the 21. But that does promote Jeremy Smith into a transfer spot. Caden Speck just going to miss out by 6/10. You never know with penalties what could come down right there. Blakely does miss out, though, at least for the time being. Thorson, Rockefeller, and then Heckman will be the last guy to bring us home. So we'll have to see if those penalties affect those transfer positions at all. As Smith holding on by a nose. Cuts her in, and ouch. That actually hurt Speck a lot more than it hurt Smith. Smith had no penalties, but Speck had, can't even read, 1.6 seconds of cuts. So goes from 6/10 back to 2.2 seconds back. And Speck going to the LCQ with Blakely, Thorson, Rockefeller, and Heckman. Little 10-rider LCQ should be a fun time. But our winner in this one, Braden Tharp. 36.8 for his best lap. Consistency is the key, and start is perhaps the biggest key of them all. As Tharp gets it done for TSCZ Productions in 450 heat number 2. I don't know, Joe. I don't believe so, but maybe if Thorson ever listens in, he could correct us. Sometimes it's surprising the guys who end up racing these sim races, so it wouldn't necessarily be impossible that the same guy you're thinking of is that Tanner Thorson. I'm just going to see if their names are spelled correct the same way here. No, they're not. So the Thorson that we have in this one is Thorsen, and the Tanner Thorson you're talking about is Thorson. So no, not the same person. Yep, Logan Leitzel races IRL. In fact, he just had a nasty little crash in practice, or was it the LCQ this weekend in the 450 class? Weird crash. Asked him if he was okay afterwards, and he says he's done riding the 450. Has a little too much power for his liking. So he's going to stick in the 250 class, I guess. All right. And any second now, we'll be getting rolling again for the last chance qualifier. This is the 250 LCQ, 5 minutes plus a lap. Top 4 riders transfer to the main event. I am unfortunately not going to Nashville. I'm actually not going to any more races until Salt Lake City. So I kind of have the rest of the month of April off, which is kind of nice because I've been to every single race this year except for 3. So I've been to 9 of the 12 rounds. So I'm kind of like, okay, I could take a little bit of a break for a sec here. Spend a little bit more time with the fam, because obviously we'll have to rev it back up. I'll probably go to quite a few outdoors. So not going to Nashville. I did hear about Burkeen's weekend at Glen Helen. It's just a crappy situation. I mean, unfortunately, there's too many people in this industry that are like that are kind of like entitled to thinking that like if they do anything that's kind of a nice gesture, that they're entitled to like everything from that person that they do it for. But I don't know. I don't know why we can't just all get along. Gosh, my nose is running. Who do I think is going to win the Supercross title? I mean, I said Webb and I feel like I just have to stick with that. But I think it's probably going to be Tomac. Like, I hope for the sake of a good championship fight, we see them flip-flop some race wins in the next couple weeks, and it keeps the title close, and it's actually interesting going to the final round. But, man, Tomac's been pretty darn good. Tough to bet against him for sure. All right, here we go. 250 last chance qualifier on the gate. Only 4 riders go through out of this one in a 5-minute plus 1 lap race, and this is crunch time. If you want to make the main event at Atlanta, you got to do it right now. Oh, a couple of guys flipping down the start straightaway. It is going to be Carson West leading them through the first corner, and he gets that hole shot. Goes for that same kind of double quad double line that we saw in the heat race out of Tharp. And he leads the first lap because of it. Jace Williams moves into second place. Almost through the front door. Has McPherson down the inside on the 317 closing in. McPherson's going to go to the outside. But still not triple in right there. A little bit interesting line choice. As he loses position because of it. Blowers up alongside. Will actually move up into the 3rd spot. So Blowers into 3rd right behind Williams. And then McPherson in the final transfer spot. Hunter Plum is also here. Bronson McClure, Jared Higgins, Sonny Spicer. They're all trying to get to McPherson. McPherson would like to get back around Blowers. But Hunter Plum already has some different ideas. He's trying to get around McPherson for McPherson even has a chance to get back in there. And Plum actually hits him. And they both go off the track. McPherson stays up and just slides around and joins on about 5 positions down to where he was. But Plum, with a huge off, goes flying into him and goes down. So that will move McClure into the final transfer spot by the looks of it, as they're still chasing that little group ahead of him. Blowers got around Williams. Into the wall jump and down. McClure just ahead of Jared Higgins, who's hopping through the whoops a little bit right there. Then McClure got kicked sideways at the end of him. Really going to come down to the whoops for these guys as Williams goes down. Jace Williams is down, and he's going to bring Higgins with him. So just as Higgins was about to get into a transfer spot, he's gone backwards. Sonny Spicer moves up into the final spot now. The Finca Long Law Firm number 95. So it's West still leading this thing after 1 lap. Blowers in 2nd, McClure in 3rd, and Sonny Spicer in 4th. So who is going to be the next to either have a mistake or perhaps charge up to this group? Spicer's hoping he can inch away as Higgins, Paolini, Plum, Powers, Williams all try to mount an attack. How about Brett Powers out here again, wild side number 40. Don't think he has ever earned a national number. I think he always goes by 140, but then runs his number 40 skins every week. No, actually, I stand corrected. He did have a national number 1 year. Oh, Hunter Plum just cleaned out Dominic Paolini. So Williams and Powers go by. And Higgins trying to catch up to McClure, who's trying to get to Spicer, who has gotten to Carson West. Our leader has slipped back to 3rd and now has Sonny Spicer right behind him. Or excuse me, so that is now 2nd and 3rd. Tyler Blowers leads. Carson West is 2nd. Spicer 3rd, and McClure has now moved into 4th place, but he's casing that triple right there, allowing Higgins, I believe that is, up alongside. Jared Higgins moving into the final transfer spot. Similar hopping as we saw before, and McClure goes down. So now Hunter Plum is up into 5th, trying to close this gap down. Sent it a little hard into that corner. Who's got the better drive? Wow, Plum looks solid through those whoops. Down the inside, he's going to push his way through and go down again. So the second time that Hunter Plum has gotten right on the edge of a transfer spot and gets into the rider in that transfer spot, and it's him that comes out on the losing end of the stick. So he's got to regroup and try to do it all over again. This time now with just a minute and a lap to go. More or less just those 2 laps left in this race. He's got to try to make it happen. So it is still Blowers, West, Spicer, Higgins in the transfer spots. And now Higgins has to deal with that pressure of knowing one mistake puts you out of the main event. It's a tough position to be in, that final transfer spot, because you start riding so much tighter than you were before. You start thinking about the position that you're in. You start missing your marks, and you're just like, please give me the checkered flag as fast as possible. If anybody's going to catch him, at least right now, it is Brett Powers, who's trying to close that gap down from 5th. And we know Donut has a couple sendy bones in his body, so he's going to push it to the limit to try to make this pass on Jared Higgins. Actually, it looks like he's got that gap closed up a little bit more, and time has expired, so Blowers is going to get the white flag this time by. Over that wall jump down the backside. Kind of hopping through the whoops a little bit for them. Can Higgins hold on for one more lap and a couple turns as Blowers just went down before the finish line jump? That's going to give up the lead. Oh, and Donut gets kicked sideways, and then Higgins lays it down. He's going to pick it up and allow Powers to go by. Donut MX into the final transfer spot. Up and over the finish line jump he goes with the white flag waving. And now, can he hold the position? Carson West has taken over the race lead after Blowers threw it away. So Blowers down on the face of the finish line jump, slots back into second. Spicer! Oh my gosh, what a save by Sonny Spicer. Nose pick front flip to kind of like a 360 out, more of a barrel roll, I guess. And he gets up still in third. It looked like he came to a dead stop in the grass just to be like, what the heck just happened? Catch his breath for a second. And now look at to the outside. Brett Powers trying to go by, but lands in the tough blocks. So Spicer's trying to hold on. Powers trying to close that gap down. And you can see that Higgins is still lurking, but he just made a mistake and he's off the bike. That should make it a clear-cut top 4 in this one. So long as no more funny business happens. Looks like these guys are A-okay through these final few sections, though. Carson West through the whoops one more time. Inside, roll, step on, off, triple to the finish line. And Carson West wins the last chance qualifier. It's going to be Blowers who will come across in second. In the end of this thing, Spicer will be third. And it's down to Donut MX hopping through the whoops, taking it easy. Making sure he hits the rut clean. And here it is. Brett Powers, a.k.a. Donut MX, goes to the main event in Atlanta with the half flip over the finish line jump. And Higgins, who was so close for so long, is going to miss out. McPherson also misses out. Paolini, Williams, Craig, Jacob Kelly, Carl Novak, Zach Fisher, Thomas Sunis, Plum, Hallpayne, McClure, Thomas, Adams, Zellner, Carr, Miranda, also all missing out. And how about it for Sonny Spicer, who finishes this one in third place? I think he should count his lucky stars because that front flip to barrel roll, landing perfectly and then sliding out in the grass and still making the main event thing that he pulled off on that last lap is it's a thing of beauty, really. I would hang it in the Louvre if I could. I'm old enough, Alex. I'm in my 30s now. I'm a dad. Sometimes you got to break out the old classic sayings. Tell you what, man, I got the grilling tongs click down to a pat at this point. I got my New Balances and my high white socks with jorts on while I'm out there grilling. Just tap those tongs twice just to let them know. Carson West, sick little transfer right there. He gets the win in this one. Penalties come in to confirm that Brett Powers has made it to the main event. So we'll see him coming up here in just a few moments. Oh, look at that little jump line actually working in the whoops for Powers. Maybe he could make it work in the main event too. Alrighty, 450 LCQ coming up next. If you are not a fan of not a lot of people being in the race, I would maybe say you could divert your eyes right now. I don't know, go do something for 10 minutes. What's a good thing you could do for 10 minutes? Well, I think what you could probably do is go to, MotoOptionClothing.com. Maybe you spend a little bit of money, help out the people that support this series. That'd be pretty cool of you to do. Maybe go check out Underground RC if you're ever in Clay. Go to Phil's Ski and Snowboard if you're ever in Costa Mesa. Check out Race Tech Suspension if you need anything on your motorcycle. I would probably check out those items first. If you have 10 minutes of your time that you would not like to watch the LCQ. Or what you could do is watch 10 riders square off for 4 positions in an all-out death battle for the last chance qualifier positions here tonight in Atlanta. And a key component of this one is the 24 of Colby Eagland is in this last chance qualifier. So he comes into the championship 46 points down, third in the standings. Probably already out of it anyway, but definitely out of it. Nail in the coffin for sure if he doesn't make it out of the LCQ here tonight to make the main event in Atlanta. And yes, I do have aspirations to commentate someday on that level, either Supercross, Motocross, SMX. I'd go do MXGPs if I could. If you're paying, I'm saying kind of stuff for sure. But I do know that the group or the core or whatever that's in place in all of the different facets of the sport have been there for a while, and I don't expect that they'll leave anytime soon. So I don't necessarily think I'm gonna be doing it soon, but hopefully it's something that I get to do someday. It'd be a lot of fun for sure. All right. Speck, Larson, Blakely, Bear, Davis, Heckman, Thorson, Rockefeller, Simos, and Eagland. Should I just have a little bit of fun and see if I can stick with these guys off the start of the heat race or the LCQ? Would anybody be opposed? There's only 10 guys on the gate. Let's see how long I last near the front. If I get enough yeses in chat, I'll consider it. But I think all these guys are going to work me anyway. These guys are very, very good riders. I mean, the only person I think I'd even probably have a chance against is Heckman, but that's because I know he hasn't been playing the game that much. All right, at least one lap, whatever. All right, I'll do it. You guys get to see what it looks like when you haven't raced professionally in the game for 7 years. All right, I'll do it. Gosh, I'm going to be super rusty. And another thing, too, I'm in warm-up mode in this game right now, so I can go through these guys, which seems a little unfair, but why not? Let's have a little bit of fun. It's late in the season. Atlanta Motor Speedway, why not? So let's go ahead. I'll just, I don't know who I'm inside of here. B-Lars. See if I even get a decent start off the gate. 450 last chance qualifier. Not a good start at all. Just getting absolutely worked. Trying to, like, actually play it realistically. Because it's, like, super unfair that I can just go through these guys. But, you know, we're in the mix to start. Going through a couple guys already. This is a super unique perspective, I feel like, for a broadcast. Is like get to see right in the mix as I try to commentate it as well. I'll go outside and just double in. Starting to come apart a little bit, starting to lose the touch of the lead group. And I'm already down. So everybody's gonna go by. I'll get up and try to catch it. I think for like a minute here, but it's not going to go good. Like I said, it's super unfair. The only reason I was probably even in that group to begin with is because we could go through them, basically. When I used to race in this game, I definitely would put the full focus face on and not do any talking. So it's amazing that I built a YouTube channel on talking in my videos, because it's not something I would do very much of. And that's it. We'll just call it that. Why not? Go back to actually commentating the race. All right. So Blakely leads. It sounds like Eagland is AFK, so Eagland isn't even off the line in this LCQ. And Blakely has got the lead. So Blakely from Rockefeller Spec, or Spec has gone down at the end of the whoops, I should say. Oh, now Rockefeller having a huge one in the whoops. Holy smoke. So it's going to be Blakely from Heckman, Larson, and Bear by the looks of it going in a transfer spot. But then Larson just went down. Bear almost hit him. Up and over the finish line jump they go. You can see Larson jumping off the outside of the track almost into the top blocks. These guys are getting a little bit rough. Oh, and then Bear just went down on the inside of that corner. So Devin Davis, I think, just moved into the final transfer spot. He did. Going over table double right there. District declines. Ouch. How about this? D. Davis up in a transfer spot. Let's see if he can hold it. Trying to make a main event here tonight in Atlanta. Brandon Larson just ahead of him. Alex Heckman has gotten away from these guys. I just roasted him before this. I feel bad now because he's looking solid. I just, legitimately, I said that because I know he hasn't been playing the game as much. I don't know how much these other guys have been playing the game, but I know Heckman has not been grinding it for sure. So Larson, Davis, and Bear 3, 4, 5. Caden Speck is in 6th. Simo's in 7th. Rockefeller 8th. Thorson in 9th. And yeah, Eagland never even left the gate. Wow. So this battle outside of the transfer spot still hot and heavy. Who's down at the end of the whoops? Well, it is Austin Bear and Brandon Larson both going down. So Davis up to 3rd. Larson just got passed by Caden Speck into 4th. So our top 4 right now is Blakely, Heckman, Davis, Speck, and then Larson now outside of the transfer spot right there in 5th. Rockefeller trying to get going again. Austin Bear went down at the end of the whoops. These guys starting to make a few too many mistakes right now. Sets us up for a doozy of a final few laps for these guys trying to make it back in. Nice little whip out there for Larson. Trying to close up on Speck is just not quite close enough yet. Oh, this is going to help though. Speck made a huge mistake. Larson leaping over to make the pass into the final transfer spot. Now Speck trying to fight back. Let's see if he just gets aggressive right away. Larson hopping a little bit deep into those sand rollers. Look at this, Speck. Oh, I thought he was going to think about going to the inside right there and then just swapped all the way into the corner. Little bit rough. Crash in the background. Looks like it was Austin Bear going down. Battle for the final transfer spot, though, is still absolutely raging on right now. Larson versus Speck. Larson gets the quad out. But it doesn't really gain you much time because you got to get so hard on the brakes for that wall jump. So then he gets right up on top of these whoops. Oh, Speck a big off in the background. Goes down. He'll get passed by Rockefeller. And Simo's on the 194 also going by. That is it by the looks of it. Oh, Simo's down as well in the whoops. Oh, it's a rough look out there. So Larson will maintain the final transfer spot as the white flag waves. At the moment, Heckman's gone to the lead. Blakely went down. So Chase Blakely coughs up the race lead. And after I just absolutely shafted Alex Heckman with a roast before the race, he's going to go out there and try to win this LCQ and say, suck it, boss. right on TV. I mean, as he should. So Davis also got around Blakely because Blakely missed the rhythm section. Oh, Blakely nose high. So they're going three through the corner, 3 out. So it's like a triple option instead of going inside, double, triple, I guess. It's pretty fast, but I guess you give up so much time going outside, entering it. Oh my goodness. All right, Davis looks like he's going to be good to go as long as he maintains this position. It's Heckman, Davis, Blakely, and Larson. Although Larson just got passed by Rockefeller. Rockefeller had just crept into the picture here. I even see him coming from behind here. But look at Larson back alongside in the whoops. It's a drag race to the other side. Does Larson go for the kill right here? Oh, he might. He doesn't get close enough. Rockefeller on top of the whoops. Larson absolutely sending it, and he goes down into the tough blocks. Rockefeller almost into Blakely's rear tire. And it's going to be Heckman over the line from Davis, Blakely, and Rockefeller in the end. Wow, that got really chaotic in the end. And Larson just misses out. Gonna finish this one up in 5th. Wow. So Specs, Simos, Thorson, and myself and Eagland all missing out. Might as well go ahead and roll it on home from here. But wow, that was chaotic. I didn't even realize Rockefeller was closing up. I thought those guys all had it. And in the end, Rockefeller squeaks by Larson to make it into the main event. All right, so 3 in, quad, triple, hard on the brakes, wall jump. And outside, stay low line right there. Hard on the brakes, getting into this corner. Ah, these whoops are tricky tonight, man. Look it, I did it. I'm going to finish a lap. No, they screwed me. All right. Good fun all around. All right. What did I miss in the chickadee chat room? Sports Hub 18 would like a shout out of his channel, so shout out Sports Hub 18, I suppose. Let's get this moto timer up and ready to roll. 250 main event coming up. 15 minutes plus a lap. So yes, gate picks work based on where you finished in your heat race. So initially speaking, a gate pick is based on qualifying time. The first qualifier gets first gate pick. The second qualifier gets second gate pick. Then the heat races come around. There's obviously 2 heat races. The top 9 transfer out of both of them. The person who has the fastest heat race and wins has first gate pick in the main event. So if your total race in the heat race is 7 minutes and 30 seconds and the second heat race is 8 minutes, then your heat race is faster, which means you'll go to the line first. And then the second heat race goes to the line second. And then second place in the first heat race goes to the line third. And then second place in the second heat race goes to the line fourth, and so on and so forth down. And then when we get to the LCQ, basically 9 or 10 on back in each heat race, it does the same thing. It's like a staggered 10th from one heat goes to the line first, 10th from the other line goes to the 10th from the other heat goes to the line second. Then the LCQ guys, which finish, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the LCQ, when they go to the main event, they now are gate picks 19, 20, 21, and 22. So that's how you get 22 riders selecting gates. The 18 riders from the heat races alternate back and forth from the heat races down till 18, and then 19 through 22 is LCQ gate picks. So that's how it works. And then you select your gate in the server. So like if I'll quickly show you when we load back in, but if I want to, let's say just inside of the box is gate 9. So gate 1 would be the far inside gate. That's what you default load into. And then gate 22 would be the far outside gate. So if you want to go just inside of the box, going into the turn 1, you just hit T on your keyboard to load up the chat room. And you type in server, gate, and then whatever gate number you want. So server, space, gate, GATE, space, and then I would type 9 if I want gate 9. And if you get it, great. If you don't, it just moves you to the next available gate. And that's how they determine gate picks. So, like, even if you were in the LCQ, for example, like, you know, say I won the LCQ right there. I didn't, but say, you know, just for a minute, relive the glory days. If I load into the main event here, and I'm in the server, and I'm on gate 1, and I go to server, comma, gate, let's say I want gate 7 in this one, it would honestly still move me all the way out to gate 19 because everybody in front of me has already selected a gate closer to the box anyway, so I'd still end up far outside on the gate, regardless of which. So, yeah. Hopefully that kind of explains it, reasonably speaking. All right, 250 main event coming up from Atlanta. Bryce Whelan, the championship leader. No qualifying time tonight, but did get allowed into the heat races based on his championship position and made it through that heat race to make the main event. So now it's crunch time. Matt Cromie and Rasmus Balzer tied 22 points behind Whelan. If Whelan has a horrible night tonight, suddenly this is a completely different championship picture rolling into 2 showdowns and 1 more East round after this. Could be anybody's battle to win this 250 East title. So this could be as crucial race of any of them this season, and it really boils down to the start here tonight in Atlanta. Who's going to get the all-important RaceFactorGaming.com hole shot? Let's find out here. It's 250 main from Atlanta. Well, Whelan got off the gate really well. He's going to come through in about second spot, but it's going to be the 828 of Joey Arico picking up the RaceFactorGaming.com hole shot award. Arico leads at the end of the first lap. Carson West has moved into second, but he's jumping off the track. Emmett Sun's going to take over the 2 spot as jumping back on the track. Carson West also in the mix. It looks like Whelan maybe went down as Alec Horn on the 46 has got a good start. I don't see Zollers. I don't see Balzer. I don't see Cromie as Horn goes through the front door right there. So all of our championship guys look to be absolutely buried. In fact, Cromie, I just saw him flash. He's in 20th spot. Whelan in 22nd. So a 1 and 2 in the championship. Absolutely buried in the field right now. And is that an opportunity, if we see Balzer get into the mix here soon, that he can make something happen? Arico already establishing a massive lead at the front of the field, though, as a lot of guys got into each other going into those second and third corners, and Arico's opened up about a 4-second advantage on the field as he hops through the sand on the first lap. Looking sharp out front, trying to pull this gap out as far as he can. Hopefully, this gap doesn't close too soon for him. Colin Allen down the inside on the 355 is going to move into second around Emmett Sun. And there is Noah Viney with another good start. Up into 4th spot. He's up alongside Brandon Nygren on the 76 as they go over this double into this corner at the far end of the circuit. Cuts back up underneath, but looks like Nygren will secure that position as he crosses over to defend the line. Having a little bit of fun there with Viney as they all head the whoops. Whoa, Viney off the side of the track. Looks like he missed his braking point and just went a little bit long on that wall jump. So Viney back into 5th, Power 6th. Tom Quinault up into 7th, and here is Balzer in 8th. So the 35 machine in a decent spot, better than some of his competitors as the 413 goes down right there. Everybody shuffling by. Emmett Sun hitting the deck. So they go step on, step off. Trying to see a flash of that red plate in the background as Balzer's working on Quinault. Quinault crosses over. Balzer's going to scrub super hard to the inside and try to get this pass done, but Quinault with the outside makes it work. Whelan in 20th spot. Still buried right now. So Quinault and Brett Powers up alongside each other. Balzer trying to hop by them both into this back section of the track, and Balzer is, in fact, going to make both of those passes up into the top 5. So the 35 machine, our fastest qualifier tonight, by almost 2 seconds, has made it into the top 5, and it feels like the race is now on for him to try to go to the race lead and really put the pressure on Bryce Whelan to respond. Trying to get an update on Matt Cromie as Whelan has moved into, looks like 16th position now for Whelan, and Cromie's right there with him behind him in 17th, so they have got a load of work to do. Where is Zollers? Zollers, I haven't seen his name go across the top of our screen just yet either. As Nygren hopping through, Colin Allen, and Joey Arico still leading this thing here, coming to the end of lap number 3, but now some pressure from Colin Allen on the 355 machine as Arico swaps through the whoops, and he's going to go down out of the lead. you hate to lose it that way. It's going to be insult to injury, really, because he goes from the lead all the way back to 5th now behind Balzer, gets going ahead of Quinault. And Whelan now up to 14th, has made another pass. Matt Cromie and Evan Holt now behind him. So Rico now behind Balzer, who's up to 4th. Viney in 3rd, putting the pressure on Nygren for this 2nd position. As Colin Allen leads the race out front on the 355. This battle 3.5 seconds behind him between Nygren and Viney, making things interesting because here comes Balzer on the 35 trying to get into the mix as well. Zollers is in 8th, by the way, to keep tabs on him. He was 2 points behind Balzer entering this. And Viney wants a piece of Nygren. They almost hit wheels in mid-air right there. Balzer's maybe hoping they just get together, and Viney does lay it down. Balzer hits him, though. And that's going to allow a Rico back through around Balzer. Is Quinault going to get by as well? Maybe? No. Balzer stays ahead, but just by a nose. Tremendous little fight right here between all these guys as Balzer makes another mistake. Quinault sensing an opportunity to try to get down to the inside. Rico goes defensive. Balzer has to check up. Quinault to the outside. Balzer crosses over. Still nearly side by side with all these guys. 4 riders in the air at the same time with Viney off the front on the 143. Nygren ahead of those, and Balzer gets into Rico and puts him on the ground. So Quinault goes by. Balzer now up into 4th place again, right behind Viney. And then Nygren, as our leader, continues to be Colin Allen, the 355 J-Train, leading the race right now. He says, Phils wants me. So I guess Phil Ski and Snowboard might have a new rider, especially if Colin Allen wins his first career 250 Supercross tonight in Atlanta. That would be a huge moment for him. Nygren 2nd, Viney 3rd, dealing with the attack as Rasmus Balzer goes to work. Oh, Viney's style is unbelievably solid. Outside, inside options. That's Balzer triple. And then table over single out. Viney misses the rhythm. He's going to get sideways, and he's going to go down as well. Oh, no. Noah Viney, as he goes up onto the asphalt section here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, going to lose 2 positions there, maybe 3, maybe 4. Yes, Rico goes by, and there's the 46 of Horn, who will not quite get by, but Viney did lose those 4 positions. So now back to Balzer versus Nygren. They hop into those sand rollers, and Balzer getting kicked around a little bit. Rider out of Denmark on the number 35, up against Brandon Nygren on the Boots House, backed by Dr. Do Racing number 76. And this is your battle for 2nd place on the track. Colin Allen has started to check out in the race lead, and if you're Balzer, you got to do everything you can to not let that happen and try to get those valuable points, because Whelan has slipped all the way back into 18th position, and it's just not going his way. Balzer down the inside of Nygren for 2nd place, and he's got it. Block pass made. The Janik and Rasmus number 35 machine up into P2. And man, if things continue to go from bad to worse for Whelan, Balzer still does have an outside shot of leaving here with the championship lead. So here is our race leader. 7.5 minutes have come and gone. 7.5 minutes plus a lap still to go. Colin Allen is sitting in position to win his first career MotoOption Supercross main event. And he is looking every part of a solid veteran out front right now. Has walked away from all the battling behind him, has maintained a solid gap, has been hitting his marks. I don't want to keep talking about him because I don't want to give him the curse. He's looked so good. Let's see if he can keep that ball rolling. It is Balzer now up into 2nd, Nygren 3rd. Zollers has climbed all the way to 4th on the 182 Covenant ride. So Zollers, who's only 2 points behind Balzer entering this, is only losing 3 points to him right now. And so he as well would factor into this championship picture even that much more if Whelan continues to have those issues. He's still 17th. And Cromie hasn't made many inroads either. This championship fight on the East has gotten way more interesting than it was 2 rounds ago when Whelan had a substantial lead, then missed the Detroit Supercross. I don't understand why I never got the clarification on that, but he missed it as Zollers is going to go down in the whoops. Zollers loses a position as Orico goes by. That is going to be Crotty going by. Yes, Seth Crotty. And Zollers remounts now in 6th. But yeah, Whelan misses Detroit and then missed qualifying tonight, so he had to race his way in on a provisional that was given to him as the championship leader. And now Crotty goes down the whoops, gives Zollers a top 5 back as he goes through. Sonny Spicer, Alec Horn also in the mix. Crotty, Powers, Partolo, Evan Holt, Emmett Sund, and then here's Whelan now with Quinault behind him. So Quinault and Noah Viney have also gone backwards in this race. They were both battling up front, and Noah Viney's 21st now as Quinault gets kicked around a little bit at the end of the whoops. So Whelan is now knocking on the door for 12th place, making some good inroads here as he runs a 139.5, his best lap of the race. Scrubbing over that big tabletop right there. It's only got 5 minutes and a lap to work with, and well, he could get pretty deep into the top 10 with how close everyone still is right in front of him. There's a group of like 5 guys that are basically nose to tail still, but then after that it is very sporadic and spread apart. So Whelan's just doing what he can to limit the damage here at this point. So much points being lost, being even 12th though, if Balzer can go up and win this thing. I believe P12 pays out about 10 points, so if Balzer wins, there'd be a 16-point swing with a 22-point championship lead going in. Crazy how this has turned. So let's do lap time check real quick. Colin Allen out front, I should say, a 139.9 last time by, matching his best time of a 139.8. Balzer, 140.7 last time by, 139.1 is his best. He is not actually making as much ground up on Allen in the race lead as I expected him to. I really thought that Balzer would have ate down that gap a little bit more based on the raw speed that he showed here tonight. But what's kind of key about what Colin Allen is doing is those 39s are not too far off of what he was doing in qualifying. Balzer did a 37.1. Everybody else was 39 flat on back. So Colin Allen getting into the 39s at all in race pace is really making it difficult for Balzer to run that ridiculous pace we know he can to close that gap down. So if you're Balzer, there comes a tipping point here in these final 4 minutes where you have to maybe just take a second place here and do with it what you can, because if you go for the lead and start crashing too much, you're going to lose a lot of valuable points you could have gained on Whelan by just finishing on the podium here tonight. So he might settle in here if things continue to get away. Allen has now put 10.2 seconds between himself and Balzer, and he continues to click off those laps, man. Hitting the whoops clean, hitting his marks. Going to deal with a little bit of lap traffic, but not too much. As unbelievably, it looks like Bryce Williams made it up to 8th spot, so that charge that he's putting on, really, really solid job by the defending champion. Matt Cromie, unfortunately tonight, really watching those championship hopes disappear for him. So Balzer puts in a 41.1 versus a 39.5. Again, I mean, Balzer made a small mistake, but Allen's looked so solid out front. He just kind of cased his way all the way through that rhythm section and still didn't lose too much time in the process. Two and a half minutes left plus that lap. Can that gap be closed by Balzer? Joey Arico has snuck up onto the podium as well. How about this? The Holtzy Racing 828 ride, who hole shot the main event but then crashed his way backwards a little bit, has now made it back up towards the front. He told me earlier today when he sent me his new pack that he's running here, the Holtzy Racing pack, that he's going for the dub tonight. And I love it. I love the confidence. Roll into tonight, fresh skins, fresh look, and just carry that. Why not? Put yourself on the box. Put yourself in contention to try to win a main event out here. Doesn't matter if you haven't been there before. If you act like it, maybe it comes to fruition, and so far it's working out great for Rico. So here's Nygren in 4th. Zollers slip back to 5th. Horn is 6th. Spicer 7th. And there is Whelan all the way up into 8th with a shot at moving perhaps up to 6th. Maybe even further than that. And another thing you almost have to consider, I hate always bringing it up, but he does have a teammate just in front of him after he gets around Spicer and Alec Horn. And Horn is not in the championship fight. And Whelan is. So Spicer gets past. Whelan goes up to 7th. I don't think Horn would move, but you never know. Sometimes these guys, you know, they're such good friends. They're all just out having a good time racing, and if you can help your buddy win a championship in this game, I think most people would say they would gladly do it. So I don't know if we see Horn allow Whelan to move around and get those extra points or not, but at least Whelan's up into 7th, and his next competition would be a teammate. Still even has an outside shot at getting to Zollers, which is incredible. Oh, Horn might make it easy for him, though, almost through the front door. Now cases the double. Just making little mistakes here and there that's allowing Whelan into the picture anyway, so perhaps that's just the simple answer to it anyway, is that too many mistakes are costing Horn late, and Whelan's just going to get him straight up. Oh, lead battle going on. Colin Allen has lost all of his 10-second advantage, and Rasmus Balzer is right there. So Balzer seeking maximum points damage in his favor now really kind of needs it based on the fact that we've seen Bryce Whelan claw his way all the way up to 7th. And he has got the opportunity in front of him to try to steal a win away going into the final lap here. Colin Allen still looking for that first career win. Balzer looking for his 3rd win of the season to the outside here before the finish line jump. It's not going to work out now, but he's setting himself up for some passing opportunities. And there it is, going up to the white flag. Allen goes down into the finish line jump, and he's off the side of the track. Balzer takes over the race lead on the final lap here in Atlanta. Oh, heartbreak for Colin Allen, who's got the finish line jump, or did he? Did he actually hit it? We're going to have to see if timing and scoring is going to update. Okay, so he did hit it. Fortunately for him. Oh, heartbreak in the camp there for Colin Allen. Utter elation for Balzer, who is going to have his 3rd win of 2023 coming his way if he stays in this position. And also a much, much more interesting championship fight moving into the final 3 rounds of this series. For Bryce Whelan, who is now in 6th, getting around his teammate Alec Horn, and still has a shot at Zollers to maybe move up into the top 5. But even so, a top 5 versus a win here for Balzer, you know, that's a hefty swing. That's an 8-point swing in the championship. When 22 points was the advantage, you see an 8-point swing down to 14. Suddenly Balzer, with 2 showdowns still to go, has a real shot at winning this championship, even though he was suspended for a round earlier this year. That's how crazy this 250 East Championship has been. Through the whoops, one more time. Tyler Nichols getting out of the way. More lap traffic not getting out of the way there. The 139 ride. But Balzer's just like, whatever, dude. I'm going to take it easy. Not going to get involved. You guys can unlap yourself. Have fun. Because he's having plenty of fun as it is. 3rd win of the season. Rasmus Balzer takes it tonight in Atlanta. Colin Allen will finish 2nd. It will be a career best, but what could have been for the 355. He'll be dejected, I think, to not have won this race when he led it for so long, but so close in the end. And Joey Arico earns a podium. I believe this is also a career best for Arico. 2 triple-digit riders on the podium here tonight in Atlanta. We told you the results might be weird, and they certainly are. So actually, Alec Horn got back into 4th. Zollers is in 5th. And Nygren has gotten up to 6th. So Whelan did slip back to 7th late, and he's making one more mistake here before the flag, but it will be Whelan crossing the line in 7th. So that is actually right there, a 10-point swing. We are now at 12 points is the gap between Rasmus Balzer and Bryce Whelan in this championship with 3 rounds to go. Sonny Spicer with the top 10. Seth Crotty finishes up in 9th, and Evan Holt went down in 10th on the last lap. So Matt Cromie, again, for him, this is going to be a huge blow for his championship hopes, but at least some salvageable ride right there to get into the top 10. Emmett Sund will end up in 11th. Evan Holt, after being 10th on the final lap, ends up in 12th. Jared Gumbison, 13th. Brett Powers, 14th. Tom Quino, 15th. Race Cobble, 16th. Tyler Nichols, 17th. Austin Partolo down here in 18th will be the last guy, looks like, on the lead lap. So a solid effort for the 110 Juice Co ride. Tyler Blowers, 19th. Cody Cooper ended up in 20th. Noah Viney, 21st. And Carson West out of this one in 22nd. So penalties are in. Let's see if it affects any of our front group here. As Balzer will retain that win. And it will confirm that Whelan finishes in 7th. That's a 10-point swing in the championship. And we are down to just 12 points between Whelan and Balzer. 3 rounds to go. 2 of them are East-West showdowns. Strap in, folks. That is going to be a doozy of a championship fight between those two. And you can't forget as well, Zollers, some of those other guys, they're still going to be close. Zollers tonight only did lose 8 points to Balzer. So then he would be 20 back of Whelan and still, again, mathematically alive and to some semblance close enough alive that you could say he could get into it, especially with East-West showdowns. Going to be a lot of fun. So congrats to Balzer. The big winner here at Atlanta Motor Speedway tonight, number 35, gets it done. Qualifies fastest, wins his heat, wins the main, and now stares down a 12-point deficit to try to climb over to win this 2023 250 East Championship. All right. Well, that was a lot of fun. 250 main done and dusted here in Atlanta, but we still have one race to go tonight, folks. It is the 450 main event, round 13 of the 2023 MotoOption AMA Esports Supercross Championship, put on by Init Esports and Race Factory Gaming. Oh boy, 19 points in it between championship leader Braden Carter and championship contender Alexis Leclerc, the 2018 champ on the number 7 Phil Ski and Snowboard ride. Teammates, more or less, really what it comes down to. I don't believe they necessarily hang out and talk a lot, but they're both riding the same machinery. And they talk well enough that Leclerc got skins earlier this year from Carter. So I think there's a mutual respect between the two of them. I don't think that we're going to see anything overly dirty or aggressive in these final 5 rounds, but there is 5 to go, and there's 19 points in it. And Leclerc is coming off of his second win of the season last week at Glendale at the Triple Crown. So for Leclerc, this is crunch time. He's got to win here. He's got to try to win as many of the last 5 races as he can to try to get back into the title fight against Carter. You might remember even last year, those were the 2 guys that took it all the way to Salt Lake City last year. And I think there was 9 points between them going into the final round at Salt Lake City. Right now there's 19 with 5 to go. And it just feels like they are both the pinnacle of MotoOption AMA Esports Supercross. And they are proving it right here and right now. So the question is, which of them comes out on top? Colby Eaglin did make the main event tonight, so he entered the night 3rd in the championship. He was most certainly out of the championship contention now. Payson Johnson, who is 4th in the standing still, has been suspended till the end of Supercross, so he is not in it either. But another wild card to think about is the fact that Tyler Lang qualified fastest tonight. He wasn't solid enough in his heat race to win it, but he was fastest in qualifying, and we know that Lang can get these race wins tucked under his belt. He has 0 wins this year, so the 5 machine would love to add one to his mantle, even if it's not a title-winning season for him indoors. There's a lot of other guys that would love something to say about it. There is the 1 machine of Braden Carter trying to get it done as well. And there is Leclerc on the 7. So that's your showdown rolling into the final 5 rounds of this championship. Look at Leclerc treating it like a whoop section right there. All right, folks, are you ready? I certainly am. This is a fun race, one of the best of the years that we get. A super unique racetrack, the longest lap times of the year, the most grueling and demanding track for these racers on the track right here. And they have to race it for 20 minutes plus that one lap to decide who is going to win the Atlanta Supercross and MX Simulator. It's round 13 of MotoOption AMA Esports Supercross, and it starts right now. Well, Leclerc is going to get the jump on Carter, who gets banged around going to the first corner. Hubbard goes long. Leclerc, RaceFactoryGaming.com whole shot award, but Carter's right behind him in second. He tucked to the inside. He came out ahead of all those guys he was with. He's side by side with Caleb Hall over the finish line jump on the first lap. Let's see if he controls it to the inside in the second corner here. He will. So it is exactly what we wanted to see. Leclerc versus Carter, 1 and 2 here in Atlanta right from the get-go. Oh boy, this is going to be a lot of fun. Who gets the nod in this one? And how long is it going to be before someone else maybe gets into the fray if these two perhaps get together? Carter already trying to size them up out front for the race lead. Oh, man. Love to see it. 22 riders on the gate. Anybody could start up front, and it happens to be our 2 title combatants. Inside for Carter. Double, double, triple, double to the inside. Leclerc with that mammoth triple onto the tunnel section. Stretches it back out a little bit more just again. So Leclerc tripling in, Carter double, double, triple, double. Oh, through the front door nearly. Riding the nose of that Phil Ski and Snowboard Yamaha. Oh, now he slides out. Carter off the side of the track. He is going to remount still in second, but that is more time lost. Wow, so Carter, a couple big mistakes early on, but they have not cost him positions just yet as he has been able to stay on the bike. You can see a ton of riders stacking up behind him. Hall, Frank Jackson, Jacob Hubbard, all in the mix. Jeremy Smith is up towards the front as well. As Leclerc hopping through the whoops, he's making a little bit of a bobble. Carter getting up on top of him a little bit nicer. Gonna close that gap back down a little bit. So it continues to yo-yo here on the first lap. We have got a lot of racing left to go. 18 minutes plus a lap here in Atlanta still left. Leclerc leads on lap number 1. Carter in second, Caleb Hall in third, Jackson fourth, Hubbard fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for Yamaha's. Then Bodie Parker up in sixth. Seth Shirley seventh. Jeremy Smith is in eighth. Anthony Pachone running in ninth, and Connor Holiak rounds out the top 10. So an interesting mix of contenders at the front of this one. Some guys looking for some career best 450 results. Seth Shirley, your 250 West Championship leader, is also up here. Hubbard's trying to move up into, I believe, the top 5 in the championship as well, so that would be crucial for him to have a good result here tonight. But they're all chasing the title rivals. So is this going to turn into a little bit of a time trial war between these two, as we've seen in the past? Is another mistake right there for Carter. First time through 38.4 versus 36.8. These guys were down in the 35s for qualifying. And I'm keen to see as the track wears in a little bit, we get these bigger ruts developed, if those times continue to drop for both of them, and we see it turn into a bit of a hot lap battle in the early stages of this one. It's really going to come down to who is better in the whoops as well, I think. And right now, Carter, to me it seems, looks a little bit better overall in the whoops. Just a little bit cleaner about getting up on top of them and staying on top. And as I say that, he's going to skip through a couple of them right there, but still actually did gain time. Gained 2/10 right there. So first real lap time check for both of these guys. Leclerc 35.9, Carter 36.3. So they're about 4/10 apart. But lap times are very similar on our top 2 contenders right here. Inside double. Doesn't get the line cleanly, but still triples over, no problem. Then quad. Tripling out to here. Roller into the corner. So why this is crucial right now for Leclerc to win this main event is he got it down at Glendale last week from 22 to 19. Carter finished second there. If he wins again this week, it goes from 19 down to 16. And with 4 rounds to go, we're getting into the territory of where if Leclerc can start winning out and putting a couple people between him and Carter, it sounds more realistic. If you stretch it back out over that 20-point mark again with 4 to go, it almost feels a little bit too far gone at that point. So Leclerc, crucially, needs to at least outscore Carter tonight, and it looks like the only way he's going to do that is by winning this main event, because they are both setting a blistering pace. They're dropping everybody else behind them, and the pace is very high in the early stages here. But Leclerc, for what it's worth, is actually pulling away. Oh, and as I say that, he's down! Leclerc is down before the wall jump. I don't know what he did to get it wrong, but he definitely was completely flailing through the air on that last triple jump. And now, Leclerc has to do the chasing. That time looks like he lost about 9 seconds in that fall-off crash. 5 seconds down. And really curious to see what Carter's lap time is this time through, because that was a much cleaner lap for Carter this time by 35.7. So Leclerc, let's say that crash added 9 seconds to... Yeah, look at that. He would have ran almost a 34. Wow. So that would have been faster than any of the qualifying times. He certainly has the speed. Now it's a question of putting it together to go catch Braden Carter for the lead. And the track is as good as it's going to get right now. It is getting a little worn in. Those ruts are coming around a little bit. But for both of these guys, this is about the prime time in which they were putting their qualifying laps down anyway. Ruts are nice. They're carvable. They're not choppy. And the track isn't too beat up in some spots. So this is really the freeway time where you're just putting in a charge and absolutely hauling the mail. So 4.9, Leclerc's already got this down under that 5-second mark. He's starting to put a little bit of time into Carter. Now it's under 4 seconds already, 3.8. Leclerc is catching Braden Carter for the lead. And talk about the morality of it a little bit. If you just catch and pass him, how much does that affect him versus, Carter passing Leclerc because Leclerc crashed? The quad is so tricky for those guys to get right there too. And again, it still feels like Carter's going a little bit better through the whoops. I don't know. All right, so let's do a lap time check this time by, and then we'll stretch it back out. Talk about a couple of guys behind these guys still in the mix, and then figure out where we go from here, because this is certainly going to materialize into a battle again at some point if Leclerc continues to eat it down. Because look at that, 34.9. Alexis Leclerc resets fastest lap of the race. He just went 2.1 seconds faster than Carter in a single lap, and the gap is at 3.3 right now. So Leclerc is on a mission right now, and he wants a piece of Braden Carter out front. Jacob Hubbard has kept these guys close thanks to those crashes. He's right in the mix as well. So if another crash comes from our 2 leaders, he'll certainly want to factor in. Seth Shirley running a solid 4th place early on right now, and he's bringing along Bodie Parker. Connor Holiak right now back in 6th place with Jeremy Smith right behind him, Frank Jackson as well, and then T. Lang, our fastest qualifier, who started outside of the top 10, gets around Jackson. He's up into 8th now. So Lang, who ran the fastest lap of the day up until a few moments ago, basically. Oh, and he's down. So just as I was about to say some nice things about T. Lang, he crashes again. It's going to fall outside of the top 10. So some of these guys, it's really about those bragging rights down the stretch here, trying to get a good result in, just trying to do your best. But up front, it is so much more than that. This championship is arguably the pinnacle of MX Simulator racing. Talk to most people, they say they would love to win this 17-round MotoOption AMA Esports Supercross Championship. Leclerc's won it once. Carter has won it twice. And at this point in this season, it's going to be one of these two to win it again. So will Carter be a 3-time champ, or will Leclerc, I think, break the record for longest gaps between Premier Class titles, which had previously been held by Tyson Fresquez, 2013 to 2016, between his titles. But Leclerc won this title back in 2018, and if he's able to secure it in 2023, that's a long time coming to get back on the top step. But of course, he has to claw those points away from Braden Carter, and crucially, Carter sits right in front of him right now. So the battle has started to brew once again. We are down under 2 seconds, and Leclerc has fully put the charge into motion here to reel in the champ. Double, double, triple, double through here. Just riding that rear tire. Leclerc, also known as a bit of an outdoor specialist, whereas Carter, not known for the same thing for sure. Definitely when we roll to the outdoors, Carter doesn't ride the same way that we see him ride in Supercross. And instead, Leclerc starts to shine through. So Leclerc switching up lines right there, going 3-3-4 instead. A little bit safer as well. And doesn't lose too much time, so perhaps he feels he's gaining enough time on the other parts of the track to reel in Carter regardless. Going the safer options. It's still hovering right about that 2-second mark, and these two have really started to put it in on everybody else as Bodie Parker now runs third, 19 seconds back of Carter out front. So Carter up and over the tunnel jump, and Leclerc following him suit right there. 135.3, 135 flat, so 3/10 gained right there for Carter, and Leclerc just made another mistake. It's out over 3 seconds. So now Leclerc falling out of his rhythm a little bit. Look at the map in the upper right-hand corner of your screen and see the arrow and the green dot. Those are our leaders and how far ahead of everybody else they are right now. Absolutely blistering pace at the front of this main event. And those ruts are digging in deep through that sand section as well. I feel like at some point the track is going to reach up and bite these guys with the pace that they're running. It's unsustainable for sure. And Leclerc, a little mistake right there, going to cost him another half of a second. Out to 3.4. So triple in. This time he does go for the big quad. Cases it a little bit, but still triples out. That's the risk, though, that you run. These guys don't carry as much speed through that corner anymore as it gets a little bit more rutted out. And now you can see Leclerc really starting to struggle with getting the triple quad line. I don't know if Carter got it that time by, but you're also starting to see these whoops flatten out a little bit. So that's going to help both of them push that pace a little bit more. Carter checking in out front again. We are halfway done with this race. It feels like it's kind of going by fast. Carter, a big mistake. Cases the tunnel jump off the side of the track. And Leclerc actually kind of cased it too. That gap's going to roll down from about 4 seconds back to almost the 3-second mark. And then looks like Carter was able to do a solid rhythm section and pull back away. And then lap traffic will come into play shortly. We are running up onto a group of two guys at the tail end of this field that are way back here with each other. And I just don't want to miss out because I feel like this is slowly materializing into something that might turn into a good battle, but right now it's just stationary. How about Bodie Parker running third? Give props where props are due here. Parker on the Yogi Designs 32 is looking for his first career 450 podium here tonight, and he is in a very solid position to do so. He's been putting in the laps right now in his marks as he should, and he's got Hubbard kept at bay behind him. So this is pretty cool to see if he can hold on to that position as Hubbard continues to push the pace. Leclerc goes for the quad again, that time cleaner. Oh, and he has caught Carter in a hurry now. Look at this, under 2 seconds, 1.7. Carter has to figure out a way to respond here. Got through the whoops very cleanly right there. And you can see right up on top of them again, just skipping right across the top of them, just blipping the throttle each time. All right, so lap time check again. Carter puts in a 38.5. Leclerc goes 36.1. Times are coming up a little bit as the track gets a little bit more worn out. These guys not able to do some of the things that they were doing earlier, but Carter, a couple key mistakes that last time by. Really hurt his case, and Carter has just made a mistake that has cost him the lead. It looks like he cased the double in, and that was just enough to give Leclerc the advantage again. So lap traffic now coming through. That's Heckman, it looks like they're lapping, and instead of a 2.9 second deficit for Leclerc, it's a 2.9 second deficit for Carter, who has to try to make it back up. So this little cat and mouse game that our two championship rivals are playing with each other continues to go back and forth. Now does Carter go send mode here to try to catch him up? It kind of looks like he is. He is pushing. Tripling into the sand, tripling again, swapping, getting wild, going through the tough blocks. That just cost him a bunch of time. You can see how rough this track is getting. Can't even get that double out of the rut anymore. Oh, now Carter's down, but not off the bike. Not off the bike, crucially. And what happened to Leclerc? Leclerc was down outside of the corner right there. What the heck just happened? I didn't even see that. So Carter regains the lead, and Leclerc has to go back to the drawing board again. So unofficially, well, actually, I shouldn't say unofficially. Officially, Carter did not lead a lap right there. He is going to still lead. He was leading onto lap 10. He's going to lead onto lap 11. Oh, it just keeps going back and forth. It's coming down to who can limit the mistakes, and it seems like as soon as Leclerc got into the lead, the biggest mistake of them all happened. Oh, which is a huge crash. And that's cost him the lead again. So 3.1 in it. Carter, similar mistake again right there. Getting swapped going into the section. Not going to get the quad line right there, which Leclerc is. That'll allow him to gain some time as Heckman moves aside. So Leclerc back to the drawing board, trying to chase him down again. They still have a huge lead on the rest of the field. And Leclerc just made a huge bobble again, so it's still not really falling the way that he'd hoped. Man, that was an opportunity right there with the mistakes that Carter was throwing down for Leclerc to really blow this thing open and solidify this win. Instead, he has got to push again, which again runs the risk of him crashing. So as soon as he got into a position where he didn't even need to push and just try to manage the gap, he crashed. Maybe the pushing is what's helping Leclerc because he's gotten right back under that 2-second mark, even though Carter's been stretching it back out. And here's the critical part. Getting over that? Yeah, he's not going to go for it this time. Triple, 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 single. But again, don't even lose that much time. I mean, maybe a 2/10. Leclerc hopping through the whoops a little bit. Down to that 2-second mark. So is Carter going to have another mistake? Or is Leclerc this time? Are we finally just going to see Leclerc straight catch him? Almost feels like it might be the latter. Leclerc is looking really solid right now. So we are down to 3.5 minutes plus a lap to go here in Atlanta. This is only going to be a few more laps of racing. 1.7 seconds is the gap, and it feels like it's as close as it's ever been as Carter makes another mistake on the tunnel, and Leclerc can smell blood in the water. Both of them going to get that crucial triple quad through here to the back. And Leclerc certainly is a little bit closer this time. Really great into that rut, charged in. And this is by far the closest they've been in terms of a battle. There's that split line again. Carter inside double, double, and Leclerc's going to go outside triple, triple, and then carry a little bit more speed into the tunnel. It's as close as it's been. And it's coming down to these final few laps of racing. As Carter's still trying to triple in. Leclerc, better line through the rollers. Oh, he's down. A huge crash. A huge crash for Leclerc. Swap sideways just as he was about to go to the lead. And he hits the deck. Oh, man, that was so close to coming to fruition for Leclerc. And he's off the bike. So now Carter has the advantage that Leclerc wanted. And it's up to Carter to just hit his marks and not make that crucial mistake. And Carter has been the one who has been better in the whoops. So is that the final straw of the evening? Leclerc, oh gosh, he was just about to maybe pass in the lead. He was going so fast through that sand section and maybe just a little bit too fast that time through. So 2 minutes plus a lap left on the clock. We're going to probably have 3 to go this time by as Carter checks in out front. 9.3 seconds is the advantage. And Leclerc needs a crash. Back to third. Jacob Hubbard has gotten around Bodie Parker to fill out the Phil's podium. And it's a Phil Ski and Snowboard 1-2-3 with Hubbard bringing up the caboose of that train, but still a very solid ride right now for Bodie Parker. I mean, a 4th place is something he'll definitely take. And he is looking really solid in that position to stay there because Frank Jackson's a long ways back in 5th right now. And he just slid out before the finish line jump here. So Frank Jackson through the first turn still in 5th. Matthias Janis in 6th. Holiak in 7th. Knick-knack, paddywhack, Coors Racing. Love to see it. Seth Shirley has fallen back behind him in 8th. Stevenson is 9th. And Lang in 10th. Having a single-digit battle here with Jeremy Smith. as they kind of pirouette through the corners a little bit. But Lang has now secured that top 10 position, pushed Smith back to 11th. And these guys are battling because Holiak just made a mistake, and here comes Shirley trying to launch by him into this roller section. Down the inside. We'll make that pass stick around Holiak. All right, so here we go. We're going to have 20 seconds on the clock. Carter out front has Rockefeller trying to move out of his way. And Carter indeed will check in again another time before the white flag is waving. So 2 to go now. 8.3 seconds is the gap. Leclerc has got this thing to the point where if Carter crashes, Leclerc will almost certainly go to the race lead. He did a 35.5. He is trying so hard right now to close this gap down. Everything he can possibly throw at this Atlanta track, he's throwing at it right now. But Carter is just doing what he needs to do. Hitting his marks and not letting it be phased that Leclerc is closing that gap down, because it's not going to matter. As fast as Leclerc can go is not going to be enough to close that gap down to Carter before this race is over. So with about a lap and a half to go, Carter just has to not crash, and this race win is his. Through the sand. I mean, it is down to 6.7. He's certainly clawed it down quite remarkably, but it's just going to be too late, I think. Unless Carter, and I guess now, another thing you have to factor is, as fast as Leclerc is going, if Carter just has a slide out, suddenly Leclerc is maybe back in the picture. But then as I say that, Leclerc pirouettes in this corner. He's going backwards, and that will be that lost opportunity. So Carter would have to crash now for it to fall Leclerc's way. And it seems like it's going all Carter's way right now. Through the whoops. Super clean on top of him. And the white flag will be waving this next time by. So Carter, I mean, we're already teetering to the point as well where Carter might be about to break his own single season wins tally. I believe his title year last year had 6 wins, if I'm not mistaken. And this is maybe going to be his 7th, I think. So Carter is certainly on a roll. Things are flowing the way of the one. And for Leclerc, you're just like, what do I have to do? I threw everything and the kitchen sink at him. The only thing, if you're Leclerc, that you have to hang your head over is that you crashed twice. If you did not have 2 crashes, you beat Braden Carter tonight. But those 2 crashes are going to prove critical, not just tonight, but perhaps in this championship fight, as the damage had been done to Carter last week in Glendale, and Carter is going to fight back in a vengeance, really, in a track that Leclerc should have been better at based on their skill sets and what we know out of both of these riders. But for Carter, he wants this title, and he wants it bad, and he will do everything it takes to get it done, including win at a speedway, which is something that is not his forte whatsoever. So it's going to go from 19 points to 22 points with 4 rounds to go. In other words, perhaps the nail has been finally hit into the coffin in this title chase, because Carter is likely not going to finish out of the top 5 in those 4 rounds. And Leclerc pretty much has to win out to make things interesting. So for Carter, this is about as big as it gets for a win this year. How about it? Rolling into perhaps Leclerc's backyard, coming through, withstanding the charge. Braden Carter gets his 7th win of the season as he wins tonight here in Atlanta to extend his championship lead out to 22 points over Alexis Leclerc, and maybe put this thing out of reach down the stretch as Leclerc settles for 2nd place. What are you gonna do? Final few set of corners here for Hubbard. Hopping through the whoops. And he will make it a Phil's 1, 2, 3 as Hubbard is eyeing 4th place in the championship from what I can tell. And maybe even 3rd with Eagland out of it. And he's going to cross the line there in 3rd. Hubbard's still looking for that first win of the year, though, as he only has that 1 win last year at Denver. But we're going to be at Denver soon, so maybe a win is in the cards for him down the stretch of this championship. Bodie Parker, tremendously solid ride, is going to come through in 4th. And Seth Shirley rounds out the top 5 in Atlanta. Frank Jackson will be 6th. Hayden Stevenson right behind him in 7th. Tyler Lang crawled up into 8th on the final lap, it looks like, just getting around Connor Holiak. And 10th will be Matthias Janis. Devin Davis, look at this, made the main event. Is going to get a P11 out of it, so solid effort tonight for D. Davis. Ethan Parks looks like he will round out a 12th place result just in front of teammate Jeremy Smith right here. So 12-13 for the SYS boys. Adam Holm will be 14th by the looks of it. Nope, excuse me. Braden Castellaneta will be 14th because he put Holm down in the last corner. And Holm will end up in 15th place. Tyron Tomic a lap down in 16th. Rockefeller, Tharp, Pachone, Heckman, Hall, Blakely was the rest of our order there. Taking a look at if some cuts happened. Yeah, Jeremy Smith leapfrogged to 11th, getting around a couple guys. And wow, Janice goes from 10th to 12th on penalties. Hayden Stevenson got around Frank Jackson for 6th. And the rest stayed the same. Braden Carter gets the dub here tonight in Atlanta. 22-point advantage. 4 rounds to go in MotoOption AMA Esports Supercross. All right, back in studio. Want to give a quick shout out, by the way, to King Rider for the $20 donation. Says shout out to Austin. He got P18, by the way. Yes, I know you guys have been yelling about Austin Partolo all evening in the chat, well, at least in the main event. And kudos to him. He rode great. He was actually up battling for a top 10 at one point. Ends up 18th in that 250 main event. So congrats to him. And of course, congrats to our 2 winners tonight, which was Rasmus Balzer in the 250 class and Braden Carter in that 450 class here at round 13 of MotoOption AMA Esports Supercross. Well, that's done and dusted. Atlanta Motor Speedway is now behind us, but we have a fun stretch coming up in the next few weeks, so we'll definitely want you guys to join us next week for East Rutherford, where it's the first East-West showdown of the year. 4 rounds to go in this 450 championship. That'll be a lot of fun as well. And then, of course, 2 rounds, Nashville, Denver, East, West, and then the finale in Salt Lake City. We are in the home stretch of this championship, only 4 rounds to go, which is basically a month of racing left to go. Going to be a lot of fun. Want to give a quick shout out to MotoOption Clothing, as well as Phil Ski and Snowboard, Underground RC, and Race Tech Suspension for backing Race Tractor Gaming and Init Esports for promoting this series. And of course, the AMA for being the sanctioning body behind this series that got involved and made it an official AMA Esports Championship in 2023. So thanks, guys, for that. Thanks, everybody that tuned in to ESTV and Init Esports, as well as here on Start Your Systems on YouTube's. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to round 13 of the 2023 MotoOption AMA Esports Supercross Championship from Atlanta. We'll see you guys next week for the East Rutherford Supercross and MX Simulator. So long for now.